Recording has begun. Good evening. This is the October 15, 2025 special meeting of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force of the City, County of San Francisco. The time is 5:54 p.m. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force and its committees convene in hybrid meetings that allow for either in-person attendance or remote participation. Public comment will be taken on each item of the agenda. Meeting decorum. Any member of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force may call for decorum due to the disorderly conduct of meeting participants. Persons who engage in threatening and/or menacing behavior may be asked to leave. A final announcement for people who have joined us in WebEx. Please note that we are not using the chat function. That is because members of the public who have called in using the telephone or are with us in the room can't see what you're writing. We're not using the chat and we're not checking it. Thank you. Chair Yankee, that completes my announcements.
Thank you, Administrator Peterson. If you could call item number 1.
Item number 1, call to order, roll call, and agenda changes. Chair Yankee, we have received word from Mr. Carnazes that—
Why don't we do roll call first?
Taking the roll call. Member Schmidt absent. Member LaHood. Present. Member LaHood present. Member Sugarman.
Present.
Member Sugarman present. Member Kumar absent. Member Anderson.
Present.
Member Anderson present. Member Highland absent. Member Pilpel absent. Member Wolf.
Present.
Member Wolf present. Vice Chair Stein.
Present.
Vice Chair Stein present. Chair Yankee.
Present.
Chair Yankee present. 4 absent. 6 present.
Okay, so
We
we
have
do
a
have a
quorum.
quorum. But as a note to all the members, if anyone needs to step away from for a moment, we will need to recess. So what I might do is kind of call for frequent breaks. We can check in that way, just so we don't have to stop in the middle of something. Okay, let's go to agenda changes.
For known agenda changes, we received word from Mr. Carnazes that it is okay to close his cases, which are items 7. We also heard from Mr. Solt, Petitioner Solt. He is unavailable to attend this evening.
Okay, so I think we can just administratively close item number 7, if that's what Mr. Carnazes stated to you. So I don't think we need to take any specific action. That's action that you could take as the administrator. So we just won't call that item. Members, did you want to take care of the request for continuance now? I think we may as well.
Yes.
So this is from the petitioner. It came in less than 5 business days, so it's something that we can't administratively grant. It needs to be per our complaint procedure done by a vote. And this is for item number 18, was it, Administrator Peterson?
Sold versus Austin.
Yes, I believe it's that one.
Yes, Gilbert Kenneth Solt against the Human Services Agency is item 18.
Okay, so this is a request from the petitioner for continuance on that matter. I believe it's his first request, and this was one that actually I had put on this agenda that had not yet gone to committee, just to try to fill our agenda up with work to do. So this is something that probably we can have go to a committee the next time we can get it on an agenda. So is there any motion to continue that item?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Anderson.
I'll second.
Seconded by Member LaHood. Let's see if there's any public comment on that.
Taking public comment on the continuance of item 18. If you have public comment and you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. I'll give you a moment. We have no one at the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that.
Taking the vote on item 18. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Member Wolf.
Aye. Sorry, missed the button.
Member Wolf, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes and we will continue that. Administrator Peterson, if you could just try to put that on a committee agenda to be heard when available.
Noted.
Okay, and since it's well past 5 and we do have members of the public here, let's go ahead and move to our special order items. We'll start at item number 6, work our way through the complaints, and then we'll come back to the beginning of the agenda.
Item number 6, public comment. Members of the public may address the committee on members that are within the committee's jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, raise your hand in the app or press *3. Hello, one moment, please.
Second. Yes, I just had it up.
Wait for me, hold on, please. Chair Yankee?
Yep, 3 minutes.
Hi there, are you ready? You have 3 minutes. Are you ready for your time to begin?
Yes,
Your time starts now.
thank you. Good evening, Task Force. My name is Stefano Zigamalis. I am a veteran, a native of San Francisco, and one of the commissioners for the American Legion War Memorial Commission. Because I am the Post 1 commander, the founding post on the entire West Coast for 3 states of the American Legion. The reason I'm here is because we had some matters that caused me to put in my first request for supporting documents to the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. And I am not only very unfamiliar with the process, I wasn't aware that I could come and speak here and follow up. So I put in a request for supporting documents regarding correspondence between Kate Sophis, who is the managing director for the building under the Board of Trustees across the street, and any correspondence in any way, shape, or form she might have had with our committee chair, or basically the messenger. And I received a response for file number 25056 saying that the task force was unclear and believed this might not fall under their jurisdiction. However, Kate Sophis is paid from funds from the city of San Francisco, as well as our clerk, who reports directly to the now previous committee chair, CJ Reeves. And so I wanted to be here to clarify, if I could, and find out if I need to submit a new request, because I am displaying the connection due to the fact that they're both paid from city funds. Any correspondence does fall under the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force. And I made sure that I checked that out before I came, and I am saying that to you people, because it's not okay when people are trying to slip away and not letting you guys do your job. I've had a number of meetings with the other commissioners where we were told by no uncertain terms that it doesn't fall under.
30 seconds.
Thank you. And by reading the fine print, we discovered that that is not correct, and that this is under your jurisdiction, despite what they're saying, because of where the funds are originating from. Not to mention the fact that the Sophia Kittler from the mayor's budget director office is also recommending that Kate's position be under the jurisdiction of the mayor's office. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Administrator Peterson, is that something that you can assist this gentleman with? I'm not sure what this What's the file number?
It was 25056.
56.
Okay, it looks like that you had sent a notice, according to the spreadsheet that you sent me, and did not receive a response.
I can assist.
So if we could, maybe if you could follow up with him,
Yes.
and we can. So it looks like, sir, that at some point our administrator had sent you a correspondence, and it looks like it wasn't responded to. And so we were unsure, it sounds like, what the status was of that. So Administrator Peterson will follow up with you again and send another email. And I think we should be able to take care of that. And the phone number also for her is on our website. So if for some reason you're having trouble with email, you could call that phone number and she can kind of work through it so that you can get that reactivated for you. If you can come back up to the podium, sir.
Should I wait for the correspondence, or should I send an email and reference the original?
Why don't you do that just to make sure that we have the proper email for you? I think that'd be probably the best thing to do. And it looks like you were filed 25056.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you. We have no one else approaching the podium. No hands raised.
Okay, we will go ahead and close public comment for item number 6. Item number 7, we don't need to call because that was closed. Those files were closed per the petitioner. So we are on to the consent agenda items.
File number 8. Oh, I call all of them at once. File number 8. Item 8, file number 24007. Complaint filed by Kevin Cantwell against the police department.
Administrator Peterson, if I could stop you and just have you read the preamble to the consent agenda first.
Preamble. The Sunshine Ordinance Task Force shall review file numbers 24007, 24022, 24030, 24036, 25037, 25042, 25053, and 25071. To affirm the committee's findings regarding the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force's jurisdiction, violations of the Sunshine Ordinance, Brown Act, or California Public Records Act, and, if applicable, to issue an order of determination and refer matters to a committee for monitoring. The complainant and respondent are not required to attend this evening's October 15 Sunshine Ordinance Task Force meeting, but may attend to provide testimony during the public comment period for this item related to the determinations listed below. Beginning with file number 24007. Complaint filed by Kevin Cantwell against the police department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to provide records in a timely and/or complete manner. On September 23, 2025, the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee found that the task force has jurisdiction, that the requested records are public, and referred the matter to the consent agenda with a recommendation to find no violation.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Member Wolf?
I'd like to pull 24007. Have some questions about it.
I'll call for all that after Administrator Peterson is done. If you.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay.
File number 24022. Complaint filed by Paul Kaniha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating the Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner. Item number 10, file number 24030. Complaint filed by Paul Kaniha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.25 by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and or complete manner. Item number 11, file number 24036. Complaint filed by Paul Kaniha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to respond to a request for records in a timely and/or complete manner. On January 28th, 2025, the Education Outreach and Training Committee, hearing file numbers 24022, 24030, and 24036 together, found that the task force has jurisdiction, that the records are public, and referred the matter to the full task force consent agenda. The committee found that these public records per section 67.21L are available and easily generated by the MTA and did not recommend a finding of a violation. However, the committee requested that the MTA produce the transcripts from March 29, April 26, and May 31, 2024 color curve hearings and send the transcripts to Mr. Kaniha within 14 calendar days. The committee further requested that the MTA produce future color curve hearing transcripts upon request. The committee requested that the MTA propose a policy on transparency and transcripts for public-facing events, hearings, and meetings. On June 4, 2025, the task force approved the consent agenda and accepted the recommendations of the committee for file numbers 24022, 24030, and 24036. On June 24, 2025, the Compliance and Amendments Committee continued the matter to the call of the chair. On July 2nd, 2025, the task force approved the orders of determination for file numbers 24022, 24030, and 24036. Because the task force found no violations and because the Compliance and Amendments Committee also held a follow-up hearing on the matter, the chair recommends that file numbers 24022, 24030, and 24036 be closed. Item number 12, file number 25037. Complaint filed by Paul Kaniha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency and Arian Ham Duong for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. Item number 13, file number 25042. Complaint filed by Paul Kaniha against the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.21 by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. On September 23rd, 2025, the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee combined file number 25042 with file 25037, found that the task force has jurisdiction, and referred the matter to the consent agenda with a recommendation to find no violation by the San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency because the matter is a duplicate of the matters adjudicated previously in file numbers 24022, 24030, and 24036. Additionally, the administrator was directed to reject as duplicative any complaints by Mr. Kaniha against the SFMTA regarding text transcripts of color curve hearings. Item number 14, file number 25053. Complaint filed by Michael Petralis against the Human Rights Commission for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Section 67.29-5 by failing to respond to a request for a Proposition G calendar in a timely and/or complete manner. On September 3rd, 2025, the Education, Outreach, and Training Committee found that the task force has jurisdiction, that the requested records are public, and referred the matter to the consent agenda with a recommendation to find that the Human Rights Commission violated Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance Sections 67.29-5 by failing to provide a Prop G calendar in a timely and/or complete manner. The administrator was instructed to confirm that the requested records were forwarded to Mr. Petralis before agendizing the matter before the task force, or the matter would be referred to a committee for compliance. Item 15, file number 25071. Complaint filed by Wesley Saunders against the San Francisco Recreation and Parks Department for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21B, by failing to respond to a public records request in a timely and/or complete manner. On September 3rd, 2025, the Education Outreach and Training Committee found that the task force has jurisdiction, that the requested records are public, and referred the matter to the consent agenda with a recommendation to find no violation.
Thank you, Administrator Peterson. So do any members have any questions about these files or request that any of them be pulled from the consent agenda?
I would only ask for it to be pulled because usually in a consent agenda, there's no discussion.
Sure.
So I want to pull 24007.
Okay, so let's pull 24007. We'll talk about that after we deal with the rest of the consent agenda, if that's okay, Member Wolf. So it looks like the other items remain. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda and adopt the recommendations of the committee?
So moved.
Sorry? Oh, so moved. That's what you said.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Member Wolf. Do we have a second for that? So this would be seconded by Member Anderson. So this would be all files in the consent agenda except for item number 8. Okay, let's see if we
I
have
apologize. That was a motion to approve.
approve the consent agenda and adopt the recommendations of the committees for everything except item number 8, file 24007, which Member Wolf had requested be severed.
Thank you. Anyone wishing to make public comment on this item? If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that motion.
Taking the vote. Member Wolf,
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Anderson,
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood,
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman,
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Vice Chair Stein,
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Chair Yankee,
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 6 ayes, 4 absent. Motion passes.
Okay, that motion passes. Let's get back to item number 8, 24007. Member Wolf, I'll turn it over to you with your questions.
Yeah. So I was a little confused by this because the agenda stated that would be referred to the consent agenda with a recommendation for find no violation, but then reading the minutes, there's no detail as to why there was no complaint. There was no violation. It's not necessarily obvious as to what the committee had decided.
Sure, I was there, so I could explain.
Okay.
So this came down to a request for some police records. Looks like some type of police incident report, if I recall correctly. And the San Francisco Police Department said they needed a date of incident in order to find the record. Quite some time went by. The petitioner didn't know the date of incident and replied back, said something like, I don't know the date of incident, and that's kind of where it languished for quite some time. Several months later, looks like, so on 7/18/2022, the petitioner said he couldn't recall the date of the incident. Went back at the next request in December 28th of 2022, said that he found the date range, and gave that to the police department, and then the police department turned the records over on looks like 1/3, so just a few days later. So once the police department had the information that they needed to locate the records, they turned around and were able to produce it within the required 10 days. And so that's why we found no violation on that one.
Oh, okay. the minutes don't necessarily reflect that. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think those are still in draft form. They haven't been approved yet. So it's just,
Well, if you can help to clean up that, the way you explained it, because that is not reflected in the draft minutes like that.
good feedback.
Okay, thank you. That's it. I'll move to approve of the decision to
Okay.
find the violation.
Okay. So motion by member Wolf to adopt the recommendation of the Education Outreach and Training Committee for file 24007. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Vice Chair Stein. Let's go to public comment on that.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 8, file number 24007. If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that motion.
Member, taking the vote on item 8, file 24007, Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes. And Administrator Peterson, since none of the EEOT members are here tonight, which is typically members Pilpel, Highland, and Kumar, could you make a note to try to add that clarification that Member Wolf brought up for the meeting minutes for EOT, since there's a chance I will not be at that meeting since I was just a substitute at the last meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you, Member Wolf, for bringing that up.
Sure thing.
Okay. I think that brings us now to item number 16.
Item number 16, file number 25028. Complaint filed by Anne Marie against the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.5 by failing to hold open meetings, 67.7 by failing to post an agenda, 67.15 by failing to allow public testimony, and 67.16 by failing to record and post minutes of regular and special meetings of the board or commission. On May 20, 2025, the complaint committee referred the matter to the full task force for consideration of whether there is a violation of Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21, for failing to produce public records. On July 2nd, 2025, the task force continued the matter to the call of the chair. On August 6, 2025, the task force found that the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, FAMSF, violated Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.21 by failing and refusing to seek and produce the requested documents and ordered that they do so. In addition, the task force found that the attendance by a majority of FAMSF trustees at meetings of the Corporation of the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco implicates Section 67.3 sub B, and thus these are public meetings, and the meetings proffered by petitioner were done in violation of Section 67.5 by failing to hold open and public meetings, Section 67.7 by failing to post an agenda with a meaningful description of each item to be transacted or discussed at the meeting, and 67.15 by failing to provide an opportunity for members of the public to directly address a public body on items of interest to the public that are within the body's subject matter jurisdiction, and Section 67.16 by failing to record the minutes for each regular and special meeting of the board or commission, The matter was referred to a committee for compliance and follow-up.
Okay, do we have the parties here for this one?
We have petitioner. Anne Marie, one moment, please. Ms. Mabott, one moment, please. I am promoting you to panelist. Do we have a representative from the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco or from COFAM? If so, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no hands raised.
Okay, Administrator Peterson, is this the item where can you explain what happened with the respondent in this case?
Yes, we had a bounce back from the communications. We were not able to confirm prior to the meeting that Ms. Mabott had received the notification. There was also the fact that the commission secretary is on leave at FAMSF, and I had been asked to notify a substitute representative and did not.
Okay, so the substitute representative, the respondent, did not get the notification for this. So we could maybe perhaps check in, since we do have the petitioner here, but I would recommend we don't hold it against the respondent for not being here since they were not properly noticed. I think they only knew about it when the agenda went out a few days ago, and at that point they were unable to change their schedule, if I recall. Okay. So why don't we let Anne Marie have 3 minutes to give us a status update, and we can go from there.
Ms. Mabott, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes.
All right, your time begins now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, task force members. Just for an update on file number 25028, I gave it a couple days after the September 3rd, 2025 decision. And on September 8th, 2025, I forwarded to FAMSF and COFAM representatives the initial requests for the nominating committee meetings of COFAM on 10/16/18 and 3/19/19 that were originally requested and refused on April 9th, 2025. Then on that same day, I forwarded the original request placed on April 7th, 2025 for the nominating committee meetings on 11/8/17, 1/8/19, 4/30/19, 5/14/19, and 6/4/19 held by COFAM. I received a response on September 9th invoking a 14-day extension to consult with the city attorney. On September 23rd, I received a response from FAMSF stating, "Thank you for contacting the Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco, a department of the city and county of San Francisco. We do not have any responsive records." That was the exact same response to both requests, both of which were specifically covered by the ruling by the task force on September 3rd. Additionally, just to let you know, and I don't know if I need to submit a separate complaint for this, but based on the ruling on September 3rd and a finding of the serial attendance at COFAM meetings of a majority of the Fine Arts Museum's Board of Trustees members, I placed a request on September 7th for all COFAM meetings held between January 1st and March 31st, and all meetings held between April 1st and August 30th, 2025. In response to that request on September 9th, I received the exact same response that I received to the forward of the requests that I had placed in April for the meetings covered by file number 25028. So that's essentially the update. I will state that, as many of you maybe are, I'm very frustrated by this whole arrangement and repeated complaints. And so I am going to file the same request with Director Campbell, and I should have just done this in the first place. So I'm going to assume that if he refuses to produce the records that were specifically covered by the order of determination for 25028, that will be considered a willful violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. Okay, thank you. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question just to make sure that we're all talking about the same. When you had referenced a September date, but the summary of this talks about we deciding this on August 8th, 2025. I think there was a separate file of yours
Oh.
in September. I just want to make sure that we're focusing on the right ones. So we don't get them mixed up.
Okay, well, basically, I definitely forwarded the requests that were the basis of file number 25028 after the decision had been made by the task force that those records were public. That the response I got was, we do not have any responsive records. Then additionally, based on the ruling in 25028, I submitted these new requests that I stated that were also refused, but I have not submitted this issue, the request for these records, to the task force yet. Did that answer your question?
Okay. So for 25028.
Oh, I'm sorry. Am I reading the wrong number possibly?
Yeah, I think so this is for 25028. This is the one that we heard initially in August.
And this was regarding, this was regarding the meet. Yeah, yes. I'm referring to 25028. Yes,
Okay.
not the other matter. Yeah, no.
Okay, so you did actually, and is it in the packet? Did you send our administrator the most recent version of them declining to give you these?
I believe I did. I'm trying to look right now.
Fortunately, it's maybe buried in here.
I don't know. There's so many, but let me see. I don't know. I can only find right now the forward of the refusals back in April, but I'm not seeing a forward to the task force. Actually, I don't think I did, because I was kind of surprised when I got the notice about this, and then I realized it was a follow-up matter. So I don't think I forwarded this, but obviously I can later today. But that update that I gave is accurate. That was the sequence that happened, and they've refused to provide the records, but I can forward all these refusals.
Okay, members, we have questions. I'll give you my thoughts on this, since we don't have the latest communications from the respondent essentially re-denying this. It's kind of hard to make a decision on this. And since there was noticing issues as well, I'm thinking it might make sense to continue this to the next available committee slot for a compliance hearing. And then that gives time for the petitioner to get that supplemental material into our administrator for them to review when the committee looks at it. So there's a full packet to look at. Thoughts on that?
That sounds good.
Could I just make one comment?
Yeah.
Just as far as the lack of having not provided the documentation, yes, of the refusal. I mean, based on the order the decision that was issued, I shouldn't have even had to do that. It was my understanding, because they were told to produce these records.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's fine.
I think it just helps, petitioner Anne Marie, that if we're going to put this through the enforcement mechanisms, having a written document from the respondent essentially saying they're not going to follow our order is going to be beneficial when we explore enforcement opportunities. So I think it's important we get that part of the administrative record.
Yes, and this is Member Sugarman. From what you described, I want to see what the organization had to say as well, because it sounds like what they said was not, we're not going to follow the order. What they said was, we don't have responsive documents. And I want to see that actually just in writing.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes, of course. Yeah, no problem.
So if it's okay with everyone, I'll make a motion to continue this item to, well, I'll say the call of the chair, and with the intention to schedule this the next available opportunity for compliance, which I don't think will be the next CAC. It'll probably be the November EOT meeting if it occurs. That is not necessarily part of the motion. That was just a footnote to the motion.
Just notes for me.
Yep.
Is there a second, please?
Second.
Seconded by Member Anderson. If anyone has public comment on item 16 and you are in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that motion.
Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you for joining us this evening for that file.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, just a quick check-in with all the members. We're good for the next one? Okay, let's go to item number 17 then.
Ms. Mabott, returning you to an attendee. Item 17, file 25063, complaint filed by Hanley Chan against the Department of Information Technology for allegedly violating Administrative Code Sunshine Ordinance, Section 67.25, by failing to respond to an immediate disclosure request in a timely and/or complete manner.
Okay, let's see if we have the parties available for this one. And you're the petitioner?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And we have someone from Information Technology.
One moment, please. Ms. Hong, promoting you to panelist, you will be able to mute and unmute your phone. Hello, Ms. Hong, can you confirm that we can hear you, please?
Yes,
Thank you, Ms.
I am
Hong.
present.
Thank you. Parties are present, Chair Yankee?
Okay, great. So the way this one will work, this did not go to committee. Again, there was nothing from committee to hear, so I wanted to make sure we had something to do at our meeting. So we're just hearing this directly. What we'll do is we'll have each side give a 5-minute presentation. We'll start with the petitioner, then the respondent. At that point, I'm hoping that we can make a determination of whether or not we have jurisdiction. We can have that motion. We can ask questions. What we'll do then is have a rebuttal period. We'll start with the respondent for 3 minutes, and the petitioner will have a final 3 minutes. Then we'll deliberate and figure out how we want to dispose of this matter. So with that said, Ms. Peterson, if you could give Mr. Chan his 5 minutes to begin.
Mr.
Good
Chair, wait for me, please. Thank you. All right, I'm ready. Your time begins now.
Good evening, task force members. This is actually pretty quick. From the days when, back in the days when I was sitting in task force, it goes really long. But so I requested on July all the email communications from Ms. Kate Sophis, the Executive Director of War Memorial and Performing Arts Center, concerning about American Legion members' posts and veterans programs and policies discussions, and the use of war memorial facilities covering the period from January 1st to 2024 to present. And I haven't gotten any type of response, even a call. I think my email response has a phone number that you could just call me, right? And explain if you don't have it, where to go or where to get it. I believe this is the right department because the War Memorial, of course, Commission, Case Sophis, their department gave some emails corresponding to us about the American Legion, but I want to know if there's more, right? Not coming from her, but coming from DTI or Department of Technology that actually I think holds all the information, holds everybody's emails accounts, correct? And basically see if Kate Sophis withheld any information. I just want to make sure it matches. I think that's it. I just want information. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 5 minutes then, when you're ready, Administrator Peterson, for the respondent.
Ms. Hong, are you ready for your 5 minutes?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
One moment, please. Your 5 minutes begins now.
Okay, good evening, task force members. Karen Hong of the Department of Technology. I am the Chief of Staff as well as the custodian of records for the department. So in response, I had prepared the materials and submitted them to the board in a timely manner on this matter, the complaint. And I am reporting, I've supplied the exhibits that show that we had not received an IDR or immediate disclosure request from Mr. Chan, and nor any requests regarding War Memorial records. So exhibits C, D, and E show the sources of intake for anything coming from the public or internal departments. So we failed to find any evidence of receiving Mr. Chan's requests or IDR. In fact, when I printed today's packet, it wasn't until page 76, which is other documents, that showed the complete email from Mr. Chan to dtis.helpdesk@sfgov.org on July 5th that I could see the entire email. And I went back today to check with our email administrator, and I sat in his office at 1:45 and said, oh, I have the complete email. So it was addressed correctly to dtis.helpdesk. I said, can you search again just to be sure, because I am attending tonight's hearing. And he checked our spam folders. He checked our junk mail. We did not receive this email from Mr. Chan on or around July 5th. We have no record. Are there any questions?
We just want to make sure that you had your time. So are you done with your presentation?
Well, I guess I can add, had we received this request, we would have definitely responded to the request. And in agreement with Administrator Peterson on page 636, where she advised Mr. Chan that DT is only the email administrator. We are not custodians of departmental emails. Those must be produced by the department that owns that data. Had we received it, we would not have had the jurisdiction to produce any records from the email account of Kate Sophis. In fact, we only search our own internal email when we receive requests, and we advise the requesters in the response that they need to contact the department that is the custodian of those records. And I am finished. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members, before we get to questions, do we have a motion to find jurisdiction on this? Or do we have a discussion about it?
I move that these are public records under our jurisdiction.
Okay, so motion by Vice Chair Stein that these are public records under our jurisdiction.
Second.
Seconded by Member Wolf. See any hands? So let's just go ahead and take public comment on that motion, and then we'll move to the question part.
Anyone wishing to make public comment, if you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, raise your hand in the app or press *3. No one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's take a vote on that motion.
I think someone's coming.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay.
So
You'll have 3 minutes, and just wait until our administrator gives you the go-ahead.
One moment, please. Thank you. Are you ready for your 3 minutes? Your time begins now.
Thank you. So I do have an email. I was copied on the email. However, I did notice in the email it's asking for a copy of the video of the Board of Trustees meeting. And so I think what we need to do is we are going to regroup and put and rephrase our request a little more particularly. I do have a question, if I can ask that to the DTI based on they said they are not the custodian of records. Could you please stipulate who is the custodian of records on emails?
Could you pause the time for a second? So, sir, this public comment period is specifically on the motion to find jurisdiction for us. We haven't discussed the merits yet, so if you
I
have
understand that.
comments about that, if you have comments about the merits of the case, we're going to have another public comment period for
Understand.
that.
Understand. So,
So if you can restart start the clock again.
You have
uh,
2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining.
thank you. With respect to the fact on whether it is public, or your jurisdiction or not, because Kate Sophis is paid by the city of San Francisco, that does fall under your jurisdiction, according to what I understand. And you are our only lifeline for that. So I hope you will exercise turning up the light bulb. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public comment on this motion?
We have no one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that motion, then we'll get to our questions on the merits of the complaint.
Taking the vote on jurisdiction, Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes and we can continue with the hearing. Okay, so does anyone have members' questions for either party regarding this complaint? Member LaHood.
Yes, I have a question for the department. Do you have any explanation for where this email may have gone? And is this a situation that you've encountered with other emails, whether from people, actually, I do want to know if people submitting records requests, if there have been other situations where you haven't received emails or any other history of this happening that might explain why that email was not delivered.
I don't have an explanation for why it wasn't delivered, but our system that takes in the email, had it been received, we would have a record. The way our system works is when we receive an email, it immediately is put into a sort, which goes into ServiceNow, which is our information technology service management system, which creates a ticket. And when that ticket is created, it's in the system and it has a complete audit trail of all actions. So the minute we receive it, it generates kind of like we would get it in Outlook. Then Outlook again sends it to sort, which goes into ServiceNow. So there's kind of 2 places. But the fact that it never showed up in our Outlook to dtishelpdesk@sfgov.org, therefore it never created a sort record to go into ServiceNow. So we've searched with no, kind of constraint on time period. So we have no evidence of ever receiving that email. The only thing that I would maybe think is that the email did not get sent from Mr. Chan's email. It could be that it's sitting in his outbox. That has happened to me personally on my work account where there's a delay and it just sits in the outbox. And when I asked somebody, did you receive my email? And they said, no, I haven't gotten it yet. And I said, well, that's weird. I sent it, 5 hours ago. And sure enough, when you go to the outbox, it's just sitting there. So then until you go in there to double check and resend it, that is when they receive it. But other than that, I have no explanation for why we didn't receive the email. I would ask if the other parties that were CC'd in that email, if they received a copy. But we don't know what we don't get, I guess, is the answer. I can't explain how email works and why it doesn't get delivered and how you expect it to be delivered.
Yeah, your thoughts on that are interesting. Perhaps that is what happened. And I'm assuming you also checked any sort of junk filters or parts of the system that might sequester emails to be approved because they come from questionable addresses.
Yes, I did that at 1:45 today. Just double check. We originally searched the records October 2nd to prepare the response. And then today, seeing the full email and the other documents that we did not receive in the original September 30th complaint, I personally went, sat down, watched him do the search. He went into archives, he went into spam, he went into the logs, and there is nothing. We have found one email that Mr. Chan had sent back in 2023 regarding cloud. So that was an unrelated email, but we do have records showing Mr. Chan interacting with our system on other matters, like in ServiceNow in exhibit, I believe it's exhibit C, that shows that we have records of Mr. Chan. However, we do not have any records of his personal emails from his Outlook or his Gmail accounts. But we do have records of him interacting with DT.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member LaHood. Any other members with questions? Vice Chair.
Yeah, I just have a few questions. For the respondent, when you get a request to the help desk, does it generate any kind of acknowledgement that something was received? Any kind of sort of receipt?
If I may answer that, yes. So if the sender requests a return receipt, right, that we had received the emails, that's one thing that's been delivered. The second thing is it could ask for, I believe, to be notified when it's been read. So there's two things. One is when it's delivered, and second one is when it's been read by the recipient.
So there's no automatic acknowledgement sent. They have to request it.
Correct.
Okay, and then were the other emails or the people who were CC'd or BCC'd, were any of those part of your department?
Those, I believe those are the requesters, I guess, who he wanted to notify that he was sending these emails. So we would not have any record of, whether they received them or not.
Okay, thank you. And then for the petitioner, I guess the same question. The people are the email addresses that are CC'd. Are any of them? They're not in the Department of Technology, so
Yeah.
they're elsewhere. And then
Right.
you didn't receive any kind of confirmation.
Well,
Or you didn't ask for any kind of confirmation, or what? Go ahead.
yeah, I mean, I guess it's when you send it has timestamp, right?
Right. So that
And
would-
I sent it twice.
6:20 time.
And then I asked the people if they received it. They say yes.
Okay. You asked, oh, the other people?
Yeah, Jeffrey Scheibles, Mitch Weller.
So they all received it.
Yeah.
And then in the packet here, there was a suggestion that you also submit the request to the War Memorial and Performing Arts Centers directly. I just wondered if you did that or no.
My commander did.
Sorry?
My commander
Your
did.
commander did.
Yeah, I just want to, make sure, I want to make sure if my commander sent to the right people that request that email, right? And whoever is the holder of that information, I want to double check. I want to see if they did a good job, thorough check of what I need. And, either, because I thought it would be somewhere else too that holds it, right? A main place other than a War Memorial Commission employee, I guess. An outsider employee to hold that thing, it's.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Okay. Mr. Chan, I have a question kind of to follow up on that. So I just want to make sure I understand kind of the premise of this. So my understanding is that it sounds like someone you know sent a request for information directly to Kate Sophus asking for certain email communications. Is that
Email
correct?
communication. It was
Email
like,
communications.
it's like 2 or 3 emails, and
Okay.
that kind of scratches my head.
And
That's
then-
why I.
right. So it sounds
Sure.
like then what you did is you went and asked essentially the information technology department to search Ms. Sophus's emails and produce to you the same emails that
Might be the same.
might be. So you're asking for Department of Technology to search a department's email account and then produce those records to you. That's the premise of why this was sent to information technology versus the department itself. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
correct. I don't want any funny business, you know what I'm saying? It's.
Okay. I just want to make sure I understood the premise of
Yeah.
what was going on here. Yeah, that was my question. Are we ready for rebuttals? Okay, go ahead and do rebuttals. So this will be 3 minutes each, and we'll start with the respondent on this one. So if you could just wait until our administrator gives you the go-ahead, you'll have 3 minutes. This will be Ms. Hong first.
Ms. Hong, are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
So I would just, I guess, invite Mr. Chan to submit a request to DT properly so we can receive his request and respond accordingly to what his request is, so that, if there are records that are within the custody of the Department of Technology, that we process his request appropriately. And not having received the original request, there was nothing for us to, I guess, search and produce. So, he can always reach out to us by email or through our Next Request account. So either way, I am the public records person for the department. So we publish all of our Next Request, Sunshine requests on there. So you can see that we close them within this, provided timelines. We respond appropriately. I believe I only have 2 open right now. One is on a rolling basis, and the other one is I'm also a rolling basis one. So those are continually being searched and responded to. So we do have an excellent record of responding to Sunshine Ordinance requests. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chan, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you? Yes?
Yeah.
Your 3 minutes begins now.
So, this is kind of puzzling where it's July and is it October now? Right? October. And I still haven't gotten a document. Should I wait another year for it? So it's just puzzling, right? At least, like I said, I emailed, I have timestamps of these email, and they received it. I don't know why. It's a technology problem. I don't know, but it's requests. I don't know when did I submit a Sunshine complaint on this question, or you can't answer, or no?
When did you submit the complaint?
Yeah, I forgot when I submit the complaint.
We typically don't do back and forth during we don't want to interrupt
Right.
you and take your time. So
Okay, yeah. It's whenever.
Starting your time.
Yeah. Whenever I requested or filed a complaint, they should have just called me, right? And say, hey, what kind of, where to get the document? If it's not me, where? Who should I talk to? Communication, right? Communication is the key. If you need to solve something, you communicate, right? So I don't know. So is this willfully violating? I don't know. That's the question for task force member. That's it.
Thank you.
thank you. Basically, I have a quick follow-up question for the respondent. Hypothetically, if I were to send a public records request to the Information Technology Department, requesting all of Patricia Peterson, our administrator's emails that she sent or received in August, would you provide me those records? Or what would your response be if I said, I want Patricia Peterson, who's our administrator in the Board of Supervisors Department, and I asked you in the Information Technology Department for her emails? What would your response be?
I would respond acknowledging receipt of your request, and then we would take a look at it, read your request carefully, and then we would respond to say those are records not within the custody of the Department of Technology, and that we refer you to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, so you would not, let me ask another way then. If I were to ask for emails from an Information Technology Department employee, would you provide those to me? Like, let's say I asked for your emails from last month. Would you provide those to me?
Yes, and I
asking.
would ask you to narrow the request. I get a lot of email.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is that Information Technology Department would only turn over electronic communications for employees within their department, but they will not do it for employees in the city who are not part of the Information Technology Department. They would instead refer the requester to that specific department for those records. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Members, do we have questions? Any more questions? Or if not, we want to figure out how we want to make a motion on this one. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, it's challenging in that, they say that they did not receive the initial email. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of, so here's my thoughts is that I actually tend to agree with the Information Technology Department. I don't think it would be appropriate for them to turn over other departments' emails. Just because they run the network behind it, I don't think that they necessarily are the custodian of record for every single email. I think we just go to those departments. That being said, if they had gotten the original email, they could have responded to that effect and said, we can't help you, but you need to go to
Right.
so
And fulfilling their duty to direct a petitioner to the appropriate.
right. So that's, I guess, for my only concern would be with this particular case, but
Just ask if we're in the discussion phase.
yeah, we're in the
Why do you have that interpretation that they're not a custodian? Like, what in the Sunshine Ordinance makes you feel that they're not also a custodian of records that they have access to?
I mean, that's a good point, but there may be situations where certain information in the emails would have to be exempt for the communications. And Information Technology Department, I don't think would ever know the content of that. So let's say that I asked for, just hypothetically, someone in, let's say, the HR departments and wants all their emails, right? And asked IT for it. They would not know which ones might be sensitive personnel matters or which other exemptions may apply. That would be something that would be in the purview of the Human Resources
I
Department.
agree with that, but then but they have at their disposal the opportunity to share it with the original department to discuss, whether any information in those emails should be withheld, right? I mean, that departments do that all the time, consult with other departments. So it's just a question I have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess to me, it would also be the same as asking any city employee, let's say, for a copy of the budget, because they might be able to go on SF.gov and access it. If, let's say, I wouldn't ask SFMTA for a copy of Information Technology Department's budget, even if SFMTA theoretically could go on the budget website and access it. I'm not sure that the responsibility extends that far, just because IT runs email accounts for, 30-some thousand city employees, that they would even have the bandwidth to deal with public records request for any type of electronic communication simply because it passed through the network, just the same as I'm not sure any city employee would have to respond to a public records request for something that just might happen to be on sfgov.org or whatever their website is now, just because they can access it. I think they would have to, like Member LaHood said, I kind of tend to agree with, direct them to the right place. In this case would be, wherever this employee is, but I'm not sure I would hold IT accountable for that large of a scope of records. That's just my thought, personally.
Yeah, I think it's a little unclear to me, so I'm just.
It's a valid point. I certainly see the reasoning behind asking IT to verify it. I'm just not yet convinced that their responsibility extends that far.
Mhm.
And I agree with that. I don't think that it does.
Yeah, I guess I.
But I also don't necessarily excuse on its face an error of technology.
Right. And I think, yeah, I think there's pretty clear evidence that something was sent to IT, and no one's disputed the fact that that is their address.
I mean, it definitely, not that we were considering it, but in the context of willful failure, like obviously it doesn't rise to that level. But in the conversation around it, it's also like we don't really have repetitive behavior to reference from this department in particular. So it could, like, we don't know if it's a technological failure that exists or if it was like a one-off, like fluke.
Mm-hmm. I guess that point, this might be a good question. It kind of gets to the questions that Member LaHood, I think, was asking earlier to the Information Technology Department. You had spoken, Ms. Hong, about that when you receive an email, it kind of creates a ticket for it in your case management system. Does that occur even if it went to the spam/junk folder? If any email were to go there, does it still create a ticket in the system? The reason I'm asking that question, I don't mean to have it be a trick question, but I know a lot of junk folders are set up to delete anything after, let's say, 30 days that hasn't been recovered from it. So I'm just wondering, is there a scenario that if this was sent, it looks like back in earlier this year, definitely more than 30 days ago, to you, and if it had gone to the spam folder, had not, let's say, immediately activated a ticket in your system, and then when you went to look at it in preparation for this hearing just a few weeks ago, would the system perhaps have deleted it by then, and therefore that's why we're not finding a record of it? So maybe you could offer some thoughts on that.
I can't speak with, authority on how the actual ticketing system works, but the email administrator did check spam and did not find any communication from Mr. Chan in there. But there were other records, obviously, so it does not automatically delete. So I can't speak to whether if something goes into the spam folder, whether it would create a ticket, right, in ServiceNow. It sounds like we do have the records of anything received that was moved or automatically, went into spam. So it's not automatically deleting. And we did search it and we did not find any evidence of receiving the request from Mr. Chan. So I could ask the administrator to see how spam is handled from a ticketing perspective, but the fact that he still was able to search the spam folder and did not find anything leads me to believe that, we didn't receive anything, so therefore a ticket wasn't created, but I can further check that for you and submit my findings to Administrator Peterson.
Did you know offhand how long the communications are retained in the spam folder? I'm assuming not years. I mean, I'm assuming there's some type of auto delete setup. Most spam folders typically have that. So do you know how long it is set up for that folder?
I will need to check on that. I do not have an answer.
But it would be, but when you did a search, you were finding emails older, as old or older than this particular email in question?
I was not doing the search because I do not have access to the DTIS help desk. So I went to the email administrator and he did the search. So we did find one other email from Mr. Chan that was back in 2023. It was not in the spam folder. So we do have a record of receiving an email from Mr. Chan regarding something about the cloud. And that was the one search record that we did find today, but it's not related to the current item in terms of asking for records from of Kate Sophis.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, we do have records that go at least as far back as 2023.
Member Sherman?
Oh,
Oh, did you have something, Administrator Peterson?
Yes, and I'm wondering if I can seek clarification because as part of the development of our files, I request copies of the original communication requesting information and the response from the department. And the reason I do that is because I'm looking for a date stamp and a time stamp and an indication of the CCs, if anything. So in response to a July 24, 2025 request for supporting documents, I received what I believe is a screenshot indicating DT as a recipient and their email address, but the CCs are different from what I see in a thread addressed to Custodian of Records, Department of Technology, City and County of San Francisco. So I would like clarification on the supporting documents to provide to the task force at some point. And what am I seeking? I'm seeking permission to work with respondent to, again, request supporting documents with copies of the actual communications.
Yes,
So
I think we should have, original copies of the original request. I think that's always going to be necessary when we go ahead and try to figure this out.
I just ask Administrator Peterson, what are the discrepancies that you're seeing, or do you have page numbers in this packet, what you're seeing?
I can find it in the packet. I'm looking in the file. Just a moment, please. So I am looking at, let's see, if you are using bookmarks, I'm looking for a file dated July 27, 2025, supporting documents received from the complainant. And on the first page, there is a screenshot.
Yeah.
With blue and black, and it indicates that the communication is from petitioner to dtis.helpdesk@sfgov or sfgo. The CC is Charles Rustum, Jeffrey W. SBLS, and then MITCH.
Right.
That is, I believe, different from further down in that same communication where Mr. Chan has sent from his iPhone beginning on July 5, 2025 at 6:28 p.m. And the text of a communication to the custodian records at the Department of Technology, that it doesn't have the CCs. I don't know that it's the same or a different communication, but I can't tie it together with the screenshot.
What page is that on?
82.
Thank you. And I'm just wondering if I could get clarification on that. I don't know if they're different or the same. But I just want to see the entire communication. So
Yeah, that's, I think when we're doing it, we should, the first screenshot, the one that's earlier in the packet is cut off. And so that's not a complete record of it. It wouldn't be helpful. It doesn't have a timestamp on it or anything. Not the ones until we get to page, I think 76 and 82 seem to actually have the full header of the email.
So to clarify, may I work with petitioner to get clarification?
We'll see how we dispose of this case. I'm just for future reference.
okay.
that's
So
the thing.
that actually brings up to what I was going to recommend, which is to me, it seems like it's potentially a compliance issue. Like, since you don't have any pattern of behavior, so, and they're saying they don't have the record. So if they're willing to cooperate, then we can still find no violation and refer to follow up with both parties about the outcome of that.
Well, we also seem to have agreed that they're not really the custodians of these records. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is that,
But even if they're not the custodian of the records, like it's still like if it was an immediate disclosure request, then you could still have a 67, like a violation of like a lack of response.
right.
I mean, it wasn't an IDR, was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
it
yeah.
was.
Wait, it was an IDR.
Mhm.
It didn't say it in the heading of the email. We don't know that the heading.
Well, it said immediate public
I
on
guess
July
it's
5th,
big.
said immediate
Yeah.
public.
Very large font.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know I'm looking at it, but, so it doesn't have to be in the headline.
I think that's the subject line.
Well, it doesn't, yeah.
Okay, I mean, yeah, because I feel like it's very unclear why, if there's this email that was sent to DTI's help desk, why they didn't get it. And I feel like because I mean, I normally consider that we are advocating for the petitioner. And if there's something that's unclear, but it seems that it was clearly sent, I am likely to err on that side of assuming that it was sent. Whatever happened, I think the petitioner sent this email and this request. I don't think, I think if they were to resubmit it, we would probably come to this issue of, are they even the right place to send it? Because they're claiming they're not custodians and they're not going to be able to provide it. So it kind of needs to be redirected somewhere else anyway. But I do think we could find a lateness in response violation based on the fact that we know this was sent to them.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Member Wolf.
Yeah, so in the matter of what's his name? George, I can't remember his last name. There was a matter many years ago that came up before us where something similar like this happened. The city, there was some communications between the city and an external entity, and the city said that they didn't have an email that the entity did have as a quote unquote smoking gun. And the petitioner had requested that, a search of the city's email, that particular account was with Rec and Park. And there was no email to be found, but because there was enough evidence to show that the email existed, the task force compelled the Department of Technology to produce it by opening backups of the email server. Found that the email did exist, and we found in favor of the petitioner at that point. So it's not like we haven't had something similar to something like this. I don't know if it applies or not.
Thank you, Member Wolf.
I think that we should do what's right, but I don't think it's of particular consequence to the matter. It sounds like the department is wanting to cooperate. I mean, to the extent that they
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
So I would be in favor of whatever sounds right to the commission, like if you think there's a violation. There just isn't enough of a pattern to say that there was one for me. So I mean, obviously it does seem suspicious that an email was sent and no one received it. And someone should look into why that happened. But I don't know that rises to the level of violation.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think that if we were to find any violation, I think Member Hood brought it up too. I think it would be for not providing a response to the IDR.
Yeah.
Even if it's saying that you need to go to, somewhere else to go. I think that didn't occur. I think it's perhaps likely that this went to spam and it's now long gone because they've searched for it after it's automatically been deleted. I know my spam folders delete after 30 days. And so if I were to look for something in spam that was sent 90 days ago, of course, I'm not going to find it. And so we've had this come up before where emails go to spam and partner never gets it. And coming here, I think, is always a good reminder for departments to check spam so that they know that, important emails can go to spam. And so I think I would support, if we want to find a violation of 6725, for timeliness based on the fact that some response should have been given within a business day. But I don't believe that this is like necessarily something we go and send to a committee, because I don't think there's additional records that can be turned over. But I think this is a good educational opportunity for the department to know that they should be checking their spam folder on a regular basis, or set up some type of system where perhaps even spam emails go into their ticketing system so that other ones aren't lost to the site.
Or set up an auto response.
Or an auto response. We've suggested that before too. I think it's a great suggestion.
So could we find this violation, not send it to committee, because it does seem, it seems like they are willing to help to the degree that they think they are able. The petitioner is aware of how the system works now. And I would say if the petitioner finds that he doesn't get an adequate response, he could come back to us and ask for additional help that we would supply swiftly. But I think requiring everybody to show up at another meeting is probably not necessary in this case.
That sounds fine.
Yeah, and I don't think resending this initial, this the same exact thing to IT is.
Given what the petitioner knows now, he would probably make a slightly different request anyway.
Right. I'm thinking, I would not support, at least personally, just resending this exact same request to IT. IT is going to turn around and say they can't give you these emails because they're with War Memorial or a different department. I think we can discuss that aspect of this too. And I think that is an appropriate response for IT to give. Obviously, they didn't give it until this forum, and that's what should have been, I think, given.
If we're not sending it to committee or for any
Yeah.
follow-up, then it's up to them to send it to make the same request if that's what they, I agree with you, but for me, it still is like, it's just the issue about how they would respond to it. And if he wants to send it to them, just for them to say, we received your request and we don't have responsive records for you, then that's still something that I would want to, he can come back to us and say, well, they still didn't respond. I just still didn't receive it. There could be another technological issue.
What's your saying?
Yeah, I would definitely support finding a violation of 6725 because we don't know what happened, but we can see that it was sent to this email address. It appears to be a working email address. Whatever happened to that message eventually, if I were the petitioner, I probably wouldn't resubmit this. And actually, even if I was a petitioner, I don't think they should have to resubmit it. They have evidence, DTIS has evidence here that this request was submitted. They have the request in front of them. They should be responding to it, right? He shouldn't have to resubmit the request. But since DTIS is going to probably come back and say, we're not the custodian here. If I were the petitioner, I probably would just send it to the War Memorial Performing Arts Centers. But I do, just to come back to this question of is DTIS a custodian that Member Wolf also addressed, I was just thinking what happens when, because we've seen this before too, when somebody leaves the city, a request has been made for emails and things like an account that they had, but now they've left the city and are not necessarily, not going to respond to a public records request. That's a case where we might want to be able to go to the Department of Technology and say, look, you're the last custodians that have access to the
That's a really
records
good
that
point.
somebody is requesting. So I'm not sure we want to let them completely off the hook as not being custodians, but
I think that we should, I agree that that's a good point. I think we should cross that bridge when we get there.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Member Wolf.
Yeah, so that person was George Wooding, by the way. But, it's been our standing, our precedent, that anyone in possession of information that is public is a custodian. And so it doesn't mean, it's like if somebody made a request to a respondent, the respondent says, we don't have that information, but we know where to get it. Okay, the respondent isn't necessarily the one as the custodian with the information, it's someone else. You know, any number of people could have the same information, and if a member of the public or a requester is seeking to confirm or corroborate between different agencies and departments, then whoever has the information is a custodian. I think it begins and ends with that.
I'm not sure I entirely subscribe to that thought. I do recall we had an issue where we had several people dealing when we were talking about redistricting, and we had an elections commissioner and I believe a few redistricting commissioners who had SF.gov accounts. And what we did in that case, we were trying to find, in fact, who was the custodian of those accounts after they left. And it turned out in that case, the director of elections stepped in and took responsibility for doing that. I'm not sure he necessarily legally was obligated to, but he did. And so I think IT is a resource that the department could utilize to find these types of things. But I'm not sure that the responsibility, I'm not personally convinced that the responsibility ultimately falls on the information technology department alone to produce emails and respond to public records requests for every electronic communication within the city.
Mr. Chair, I just want to refer to the first sentence of 6721. Every person having custody of any public record or public information as defined herein. It's not limited, it's broad.
I think that that's it opens up a really broad case of things. If the Department of Technology is someone who has access to many city departments, then we end up having a lot of cases that are requesting public records. And now, we're talking about precedent setting. So in that way, the precedent could become, well, I didn't get the information from this department, and I'm going to go make this request to the Department of Technology now.
People do it all the time.
Yeah, I have a question for Member Wolf. I mean, taken to that extent, so what if somebody makes an immediate, I don't know, maybe this is getting ridiculous, but I'm just thinking about what could happen. Somebody makes an immediate disclosure request to the sheriff's department for the files sitting on the mayor's desk. They've got keys to the mayor's office for security purposes.
That's different. They're not in possession of the records.
But they have access, and I guess Department of Technology, are they in possession of, or do they have access to?
Well, isn't that the crux of this question?
Yes.
Is it just that they have access, or are they actually holders of information they have in their possession?
Yes.
I mean,
question.
we have, here's another case, the whole zoo situation. When we were looking for paperwork on the contracts and the agreements, okay, how many different departments were we asking for that document? I mean, any number of people could have it. And the question is if it's in some file cabinet in somebody's office and they have access to it and they have possession of it, then that's it. But not to like go and enter into somebody else's office and then get possession of it. That's an investigation. That's just like a search. That's different. But I think if somebody has it, and we've done this before with the George Wooding case, on emails specifically, because the backups were in the possession of the Department of Technology, they had the ability to retrieve them. And because they were public records, had the responsibility to produce them. I'll stop there.
Go ahead, Vice Chair.
Yes, Member Stein. I actually feel like there may also be legal aspects to this question about how custodians are defined legally that we don't really have in front of us. And, if it comes up directly in a case where we need to address it, I feel like it would be great to have, Member Schmidt or whoever, our legal advisor, right, actually get into this in detail. But I feel like for right now, we don't actually need that. And I want to make a motion to find a violation of 6725 for not responding to an IDR in a timely manner.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor from Vice Chair Stein to find a violation of 6725 for not responding to the IDR in a timely manner. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Seconded by Member Anderson. Any further discussion on that particular motion? Seeing none, let's open that up to public comment.
I want to say no, although this is very interesting.
I'm sorry, the second was by Member Stein. It was moved by.
Moved by
Moved by
Member
Stein, seconded by Anderson.
Anderson.
Thank you.
Public comment?
In one moment. Yes, you can do public comment on this. In one moment, our administrator will set the clock for you. You'll have 3 minutes as soon as she's ready. You can come up.
Are you ready for your 3 minutes?
Yes.
Your time begins now.
Thank you, Commission. My name is Stefano Zigamalis. I'm commenting on the issue. With all due respect to a very engaging conversation, I would point back to what Mr. Wolf said as to, although it does sound broad and you want to refer it to a legal issue, at the moment, I would go off of what Mr. Wolf said is in black and white. And whoever wrote that anybody in possession is a custodian answers that question right there. And they were thinking about wanting that to be broad so that it would be all encompassing and people wouldn't be able to avoid that. And also on a side note, with respect to there being a lot of emails and that being a lot to work through and a lot of information, I would, as an example, like to point out that after I graduated my beloved San Francisco State University, I had email for 2 years. I had over 2,000 emails along with a few thousand other people graduating. And although 30,000 or 100,000 sounds like a lot of information to us, it's a tiny server in a warehouse in Vegas that all you have to do is put in the right binary code and it'll pop up. It sounds like a lot to us, but it's something I could put on a little thumb drive and have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of emails, depending on how many pixels they take if there are photos in them. So I do understand what you're saying, but if something on a very limited budget like a state university of San Francisco can handle the current students and their alumni emails must be in the hundreds of thousands and not have any issues tapping into those, I don't think that something like the city of San Francisco would be falling short. And as someone who does have a academic background and did work with NASA doing research down at Ames, and we had a lot of information to keep track of, I can assure you that information is what we do here in the Bay Area, and 1 million emails is nothing. It's a stroke of a button and it pops up in under a few seconds. And I have 29
30 seconds.
And in closing, I would say that with respect to a lot of political history the last 5 or 10 years, anybody who is using their work email, be it in a private business or in the government, should be much more careful about what they're emailing, because we pay for that email as taxpayers, and anything they send or receive is ours and yours. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you coming up? All right.
This cable will up. I too, like member LaHood, found this really interesting, this conversation around custodians of records. Interesting example about the actual custodian having keys to the mayor's office. I don't actually think they're the custodian of records there, but I did want to mention and repeat again what Member Wolf read out, which was 6721. It begins with every person having custody of any public record or public information as defined herein referred to as the custodian of a public record. According to the Oxford Dictionary, custody is defined as the protective care or guardianship of someone or something. So it's worth noting that the example of asking any city employee, let's say in DPW for the SFMTA's budget, that while yes, the employee might have access to the SFMTA's budget, they're not in fact the custody or custodian of the SFMTA's budget. And as the SFMTA's budget would not be in their protective care or guardianship of that employee. So in this case, the Department of Technology is indeed in charge of protecting and serving as the guardian of these records. Imagine if the city's email system was hacked or breached, who would we look to for answers as to why proper protections weren't put in place? Protections put in place. The Department of Technology, of course. I think that the discussion raised here is one that ought to be raised either here in the Compliance and Amendments Committee. We should either amend the ordinance to define with more clarity what custody means, or in lieu of that, the task force in the full here should lean on the dictionary definitions, as any reasonable person would. The reasonable person standard is one that is often used in law, and I think is reasonable to use here. Yeah, and on the janitor having keys to the mayor's office example, having access to a record does not constitute control and responsibility over those records. He might be the custodian, but he's not the custodian of records. So that's my 2 cents. My name is Honest Charlie Bodkin. For the record, you can just call me Charlie. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone in the online community wishing to make public comment, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. If there's anyone remaining in the room, please approach the podium. No one approaching the podium, no hands raised.
Mr. Chair, before we vote.
Yeah, go ahead, Member Wolf.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring up the premise that Vice Chair Stein brought up. I think it's worthwhile, since we're, short on members tonight and we just, made quorum, that it might prove to be a better, have more eyes and ears on this. And I would propose that we continue the item until for a regular task force meeting when everyone could be here, or at least most people can be here, considering the thoughts about having Member Schmidt here with a little more of a legal-centered mind. We have our DCA here, and we could pose some questions to the DCA to bring back regarding that matter, because I think the merits of this are sound. And I think just, to have a rudimentary determination on something that's basically operational versus the meat of the alleged violation, I think demands to have the full task force spirit.
Vice Chair Stein?
Yeah, I personally think I would be against continuing it because since they did not really receive since they say they did not receive the request, we didn't have an official response from the Department of Technology Services. And I think they're here for this discussion tonight. I think if I were them, I would rethink whether or not they could be considered to have custody of these documents. And if, we've said there's a violation of, if we find a violation of an IDR, and they know that this request is there, they can give us a formal response. And if their response is still that they don't believe they have custody of these records, then we could hear that aspect of it if the petitioner wants to bring it to us. I don't know.
How does that work? How does that work?
Sure. Are you going, Member Wolf, or can I go?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I asked Information Technology that question because that's anticipating that, and she told me here, just moments ago, that their response would be that they wouldn't turn the records over. So I don't think we need to go through a process of making them ask again and I think their formal position, we can ask again, if for the record, is going to be that they're not going to want to turn the records over. In fact, I'll ask again, Ms. Hong, is it officially the DPW or Information Technologies position that you've now seen the actual request since it's in our packet. Seeing that request, is it your position that you would not turn the records over and refer?
That's correct.
Okay. So we know what the answer is going to be. So I don't think it's necessary to go through the exercise. If we feel that we want to delve into that portion and that's being their response, but I think it's now on record that that's their response.
Could I ask
Yeah.
a question? Ms. Hong, correct? Have you ever run into a situation where people are requesting that you turn over information on emails and you've declined to do so, referring those persons to a department where the emails may have originated or may have landed? And at any point in time, did you ever get any guidance from the city attorney's office on exactly what it is you're allowed to release and what it is you're not allowed to release?
So the answer to your first question is that that is a policy that DT does not own the data of any department. That would mean, like, if we get a request, as earlier stated, that is another department's email account, we would refer the requesters to that department. Now, as administrator, if the department contacted our email administrator for assistance to search an email, right? Let's say the person is on extended vacation or the person has left employment. If the department that owns those records asks for our assistance, we would assist them and we would do the search according to the search terms that they provide us. We would produce the records to that department's custodian of record, and it is then their responsibility to review those records and decide whether they are public, if there are items that need to be redacted per, things that are non-public, and then decide which ones are responsive to the requester's, submission. So we would assist, right, to produce the other department's records, but we would not go in on a public records request that does not belong to our department and go and search and release records as the chair Yankee said, that we wouldn't know what would be exempt because we're not the subject matter experts related to their communications. So and to your second question, so I'm sorry, could you repeat it? I got a little.
Yeah, my second question was, has there been an occasion where you've requested guidance from the city attorney's office on what you can and cannot release?
Thank you.
On PTIS?
Yes. So it is policy that we do not release another department's records, and per the city attorney, if we receive subpoenas, that's a different case. This is just a public records request coming in from a member of the public. We would follow policy, and that is the policy that the city attorney's office has provided to us to follow. So yes, so this has been kind of established as our general practice and per policy.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is just in the course of general discussion that I support Member Stein in the commentary that the violation at hand in a motion was about timeliness and not about who the custodian of the record was. I wanted to point out something, because since we've been discussing the custodianship for a while, that while it is true in 6721 that the first sentence of it is quite broad and would potentially be applicable for these scenarios that we've been discussing about who is the custodian of the record. 6721 as a whole is not broad. It goes into significant more detail about who a custodian is and what happens when that custodian refuses, going so far as to talk about who the supervisor of records is as well. Who really is the person who is the authority on releasing these records if a custodian refuses. So even if you came to the conclusion that this person was this entity was a custodian, it is within our purview to discuss and determine whether that person is the custodian to release the record. And
Mr. Chair.
it is not something that in this instance that I think that this is, even if we had determined they were a custodian, that they were the person to release the record, in my opinion.
Go ahead, Member Wolf. And I'm in
Yeah.
queue myself as well.
That is a slippery slope. I mean, that is a real slippery slope. If you start watering down or narrowing that, what the intent of 6721 is, then it would basically change all the determinations, many of them that we have done over the past 20 some odd years. We enjoy that it is broad because we want ultimate transparency and access. So to narrow that down would create a huge controversy, I think, even within this body to do that. So I would suggest that we don't go down that road without a much larger, almost convention-like discussion. That I think that's even going through the amendments discussions. That wasn't even that was something that we'd never wanted to go near. I do want to say that, if we are not going to consider that the Department of Technology is not a custodian, then that would render our order of determination on complaint 11049, Wooding versus Wrecking Park, more or less null and void. And I'm concerned about that. We have to look at the legacy and decisions that we made in the past based upon the same amount of discussion and inquiry that we make of the parties to come to these conclusions. And in that case, we did compel Department of Technology to produce the emails in question from backups because they were in possession of them and they were custodians of that public information. And there's no two ways about it. I'll stop there, but I don't think just finding a violation on this particular point goes far enough, and I might not vote in favor of this.
Okay, so here's where I am. I'm gonna put myself in the queue. Number one, I think Member LaHood's point about access versus custodianship is such a good point, and I don't know if we can resolve that broad of a question here tonight, because IT touches a little bit of everything. It could be IT has control of law enforcement records, and so I'm not sure that anyone who wants police records, whatever, is allowed to go to IT and get them from there. IT has probably some involvement in running things through Zuckerberg General Hospital. I'm not sure you can go to IT and get medical records, or they would be even the experts on knowing what medical records are disclosable or non-disclosable. We had cases where we ordered a closed session that was recorded by the Sunshine Ordinance but not disclosed. But I'm not sure that we could go to IT and say, IT, you better release that closed session, even though department is saying no. Essentially, I'm not sure that we can use public records requests to the IT department as kind of a runaround to a subpoena and say, well, IT has to do it because we say they have to do it and they somehow touch it. So I'm not necessarily under the thought that if somehow IT touches a record in some aspect, that they're somehow obligated to respond to public records requests for those things. Some they might be, some they might not be, but I don't think that just because it touches some type of IT infrastructure that suddenly now they're a custodian of records. I don't believe it goes that far. As far as the precedent, I don't think that any of us are here, number one, to prepared to discuss intricacies of a case that occurred back in, sounds like 2011, I would want to look at it. And number two, even if there is the precedent, doesn't mean I think that in every single case, we're always going to agree with what happened 10, 15, 20 years ago. I think it's a guiding principle, but even with the court system, they're not 100% bound by what someone decided before. So without having the facts of that case before me, I'm not sure how I would line up, how the task force led to asking IT to become involved. It could be that the department said, sure, we would turn the records over, except we just don't have access to the records. And IT said, well, we can get involved and find it for you. That's different than what we have here. Again, I don't think it's appropriate to bring that case for us now, unless we really want to stop this and go back and review it. All that being said, to Member Sugarman's point, I would support the motion before us. Like you said, it's a timeliness motion. I would support that. I'm not prepared to support at this point more than that, though, and that's where I'm at. Anyone else before we call for a vote? Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm supporting Vice Chair Stern's motion. Could we put something in the motion that says that now that Ms. Hong has seen the request from the applicant, that she can respond to it? Because at this point, there's no written response to the request that was made. So if the respondent can do a written response and say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not, or no, we won't, then I think we would be on better footing, at which point the applicant could say, yeah, I want to go further. Or go back to the department and say, will you give DTIS permission to release anything they find?
I like it. Go ahead.
No, that was about it.
I think Member Wolf wanted to respond.
Member Wolf, do you want to respond?
Yeah, I said, I like that. I'd leave the door open.
I feel like the violation is like, I feel like the ruling is the door is open for them to respond and come back.
Yeah.
Like we could put language in there, but also the department could just the respondent could just respond to the petitioner, and the petitioner could be not satisfied with that response and bring the case again under the guise of the custodian of records, as opposed to a timeliness violation.
I mean, if you do a timeliness determination, that really doesn't get to the matter of the complaint, that he didn't get the records. And the point here is to focus on the actual complaint. So if you leave the door open for the requester to further try to get the information, despite the timeliness, then it remains open, and they could come back.
Okay.
So, with maybe a differently worded complaint, because it involves a different set of circumstances.
I would support either motion either way, personally. And I originally suggested something of a similar mind, that we do a timeliness violation, but also follow up. But I also think that it's not necessary, personally.
Lynn, I think you were in the queue.
I think we can all have what we want. I think if we find a timeliness violation and we request that the department give a written response, and it can be absolutely based on what the department has said. That way, then the petitioner can act on that and come back to us and say that that's not enough, or they can decide what they're going to do next. But we're not playing the chess game out so many moves. Because, or we could ask the petitioner what their next step is, or we say that the next step is to give the response.
Well, here's where I'm at. I'm not necessarily supportive of that, because I think the complaint wants the records. He didn't just come here and want timeliness. He's asking, I want the records. And we already have now two or three times IT telling us exactly what the response is. Mm-hmm. So we already know what the requester wants. We know what the response of the department's going to be. So we're just kicking the can down the road at that point. because I don't know why.
Can we ask our DCA?
I'm not sure getting it in writing is going to change.
Well-
Sure, if you have a question for the DCA, but
Can I just say too, the one thing I would hope for is if they gave us a written response where that they would give us more detail than we've had verbally about why this is their policy, what they've been advised, the rationale behind it. And because if we are going to hear it again over their, claim that that they can't answer this because they're not the custodian, I feel like a little more fleshing out of what their argument is would be useful.
Sorry.
do you have a question for the
I
DCA?
need to-
Oh.
Sorry, this is unrelated. I need to use the restroom for about the past hour, and because of our limited
Oh.
amount of people that are here.
Yes, why don't we take, actually, that's a good time for a break. We don't kind of think about this issue. We'll do a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 8:05 and maybe we can kind of think of where we want to take this.
Please note that this doesn't mean that we're tabling the item.
No.
No, we're just taking a recess.
Okay.
There's still a motion on the floor, in fact.
All right.
But-
Microphones are off. Oops, just a moment, please. Microphones are not off yet.
How's life been treating you? You've been in town and.
Oh my gosh, I was in Europe for 16 days, which was fun.
Where'd you go?
Barcelona, Stockholm, Paris, London. It was my first trip to Europe since 2019.
Okay, so we're back on the record at 8:05 p.m. We are still in the discussion phase, and there's still a motion on the floor to find a violation of 6725 for timeliness. That's where we're at. So I don't know who is next to speak, but I'll open the back up.
I think we heard from Member Sugarman last about trying to formulate a motion that would include some openness.
It would include, I think Member LaHood mentioned a request that the department give a written response.
Great. And I don't know if I was last, all I will say is that I was supportive of something like that at the outset, and it's perfectly fine that I would support that now. But absent that response, I don't think that this is the case about custodianship until there is an official one.
My question to everyone who's wanting the written response is we already know what the written response is going to be because they've told us now on the record from they're going to say they're not going to supply the records and they're going to refer the person over to the department. So we know what their response is going to be. I'm not sure putting it in writing changes anything, except the fact it's in writing. We already have testimony on what that response would be. Now, if we want to get into that subject and be briefed further, ask for legal advice on that, I think that might be acceptable. But I don't want to just go through an exercise of put it in writing. Oh, now we're hearing it back and going back to the complaint. I mean, I don't want to waste our time either. So I think if we have specific questions about what that position is, that they're not going to turn the records over themselves. I think that's fine if we want to explore that further in a particular way. But I just don't want to go through the unnecessary.
It's just weird to me too, because we have a request that's been made, but they didn't know there was a request made. I don't know. I guess I do kind of want a written response.
Oh, maybe you do.
Maybe I want a detailed written response that explains to me why they consider themselves not to be custodians of these records.
I think that's fair. I think that's maybe a better springboard into our next discussion. We want to have a deeper, than rather just say we want to. You give it. We're not going to disclose the records to the respondent. If we're asking for them to let's say further brief us on that topic. Go ahead. I don't know who had their hand up first.
Okay. And could we just thought off the top of my head, could we, in asking for a detailed written response, also see whether the department DTIS would be agreeable to asking War Memorial, if it's okay, if they found records, that they could release them?
Mm-hmm. Remember the hood then?
That's an interesting approach. I was going to say, if, Chair Yankee, you were saying your goal is to help the petitioner get the records he's seeking. If that's the goal, is there a different path that is faster and more efficient? And I know that, the public commenter had made a different request that hadn't been responded with, seeking our help on that front. It's hard to gauge at this moment which pathway would be more efficient. So.
Yeah, my understanding is that there's already been a request to this person, I forget what her name is.
Ms. Sophus.
Yes, and they've already received a response from War Memorial. I think this is like a test. War Memorial gave us this response. Will IT give us the same thing or will give us more? So they're trying to compare the two responses. Right. So I think they've already received the response from War Memorial.
Right.
So turning them back over to War Memorial is giving
But the War Memorial isn't here, and we're not talking to the War
Right.
Memorial and saying you have to produce these records.
Right. So I think the question is it fair as a general thought to have IT be like the checker and verifier of every public records request that might touch an electronic communication? Like, do I really think the supervisor gave me all their emails? Do I think that London Breed gave me all their text messages? Do I think that, let's ask IT and see if they'll give me the same thing. I'm not sure that that's my concern, is that could open up into a whole, every type of public record. Almost, the city is so intertwined now with technology that almost every record in some way exists in electronic format.
But I agree with what Member Wolf said, which in some cases, they are like, they're the last resort because the commission has been closed, because somebody has moved on, and they're the only ones who have access to those emails. So I don't want to say that we can't get records from them.
I think that's a different, I completely agree that that is the case where I'm like, well, that's where you would want to go. You'd want to have someone who had access to that record. In looking between what the rule says and what the word custodian means to me, that is the question. Like, to me, the custodian is the War Memorial. So if, for example, the War Memorial closed and the Department of Technology was the holder of the record and there was no War Memorial, then they would become the custodian of the record. That's how I would look at it.
I totally agree. That's how I would approach it too. I'm not sure there's necessarily multiple custodians. We can put them against each other to see who necessarily.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Member Wolf.
Yeah, but that is the actual reality of things. So when department take contracts, for instance, a department might draw up a contract with a contractor of some sort. Okay, they're not the only holders or the custodian of that contract. Contracts also held by the city administrator, and maybe the controller. Maybe it went through the board of supervisors and they made a decision on it. Now they're a custodian of it. There's multiple custodians of any one or another piece of information. And I mean, it's just think about discovery in a court case. Any number of people could have possession of evidence. So it's not, there's not just one thing or one custodian of any one piece of information. This is as you said, a government that's very intertwined. And so I would proffer that not necessarily, that not be a lens or a litmus for us. I would go on. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. Is, you know, there could be multiple people that could have the information, and frankly, the you know, the custodian having a backup or making a backup is specifically custodian of information because it's an archive. And if for some reason, you know, like you said, there was a fire or something happened to a department, you have another person who also has custody at the same time and can offer it at the same time. It doesn't, I don't think it's like this changes everything. Like people are they're gonna ask for it from the actual who they think is the custodian of the record, and then they're also going to ask, you know, multiple other departments. People already do that. We saw that with Anonymous. He did that all the time for the same piece of information. That was the basis of his work with us. And so it's not illegal to do. I think it's the point is made very clearly through that experience that any number of people in the city have custodianship of the same information or the same records.
Yeah, this is Member Stein, I tend to be in that same camp and feel like if somebody has custody of the record or, you know, they're maintaining the record in some way like DTIS is, I tend to think that they're our custodian and, but I would be open to hearing arguments about why in this case they might not be, if they're legitimate arguments. I haven't really heard them yet. I don't know, you know, what kind of details they would give me or what the city attorney's office would say about why they have this policy and why they would not consider them to have custody or be custodians, or why they have some kind of system of deference to the other departments, you know, outside of the Department of Technology. But I need more information for that. I need more information than we have here tonight. But I think we do have enough information to say that there was a violation of the IDR. So I would be still in favor of keeping the door open for them to come back and give us their arguments about, why they don't have custody of these records or why they're not the primary custodian, and then be able to hear that as a full task force. But I do think we can decide that there wasn't a timely response for an IDR.
Let's formulate a motion around that.
So the motion currently on the floor is just to find a violation for timeliness. Under that scenario, it would close. So if we want to add more to it and ask for specific follow-up, I think we need to figure out what that is.
We could request a detailed written response of why DTIS does not believe they are in custody or custodians of these records.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
Are you amending your motion?
Yes,
As such?
yes. And Anderson, member Anderson was the second. I don't know if you want to second that.
Vice
Yeah.
Chair Stein, can I get clarification on the wording, please? Requesting detailed written response why IT feels they are not the custodian.
Why they are not the custodians and are not in custody of these records. We
Thank
might
you,
even
Member
say
Anderson, that's a second as well.
understood by the Sunshine Ordinance. Sorry?
I'm sorry, I spoke over the top of you.
Why they consider that they are not custodians or in custody of these records, as defined or as described by the Sunshine Ordinance.
Yeah, could we couch that as, since the department, DTIS is saying that they hadn't received the request? We could couch it as, we find you in violation because we believe the request was somewhere there. Now, would you provide us your written response to the request, being sure to articulate exactly, if you choose to not respond with records, the specific reasons why? So that way it gives them an opportunity to maybe speak with the DCA who says, yeah, you can go ahead and release whatever.
Okay, so
And do we want advice from our DCA on this matter?
I was going to say that exact same thing, Member Wolf. I would love our DCA to weigh in now if he has any preliminary thoughts and whether or not they could get us more in-depth analysis on this issue.
Yeah, as a matter of procedure, I wasn't sure if you wanted to finish formulating the actual order, but I'm happy to provide just initial views. I think the concept of custody and custodian is a very specific concept in the law. And even though in the layperson perspective, you might be able to say, oh, someone has access or possession or the ability to access a document, it doesn't mean you're the custodian in the legal sense. And I think, and I'd be happy to look into this closer, but I think the Sunshine Ordinance intends it in the context of the legal ability or the control over the document. So the Department of Technology has access to probably everyone in the city, their email or other documents. It doesn't mean that they are the custodian in the legal sense. When we have to get documents from someone, we go to the agency, even though we could go to the Department of Technology because there's a lot of privacy laws and other concerns at issue. That's just a long-winded way of saying I think this is a very complicated issue, and I think it's important to get an opinion along with a clarification like what was being formulated, and I'd be more than happy to prepare an opinion about what is considered custody within the context of the Sunshine Ordinance, because I think it's something that might impact other cases as well.
Yeah, I
Thank
think
you.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think it's going to be something, as we talked about, a whole variety of scenarios where I think this exact question or a version of this question could come up. And so I think if you could, I don't know if we have to make a motion. I think if you could just do that for us, and that'd be helpful. And I would feel most comfortable not hearing this again until we get that analysis. Everyone agrees. So, okay. So I'm sorry. So I think there was some type of, did we finish the wording on the motion that you had?
I have a further request for detailed written a detailed written response why IT feels they are not the custodian or not in custody of these records as defined, as described by the Sunshine Ordinance. And then I need clarification on member Anderson's addition and the dependency clause, because I'm not quite sure where it lands.
So I think member Anderson was saying that okay, so we would move that because we believe a request was made, we find a violation of 6725 for not responding to the IDR in a timely manner. And that we ask the Department of Technology and Information Services to please provide a response to the request. And if you determine that you will not provide the records, we request a detailed written response of why you consider yourselves not to be custodians or in custody of these records as defined by the Sunshine Ordinance.
Correct.
And we request that our DCA address the meaning of custody and custodian in the context of the Sunshine Ordinance.
Yes.
The latter is part of the order.
No, it doesn't have to be, I'm just throwing that out there. So the order would it's just a wording issue that because we believe that a request was submitted, we find a violation of 6725 for not responding to an IDR in a timely manner. Please provide a written response to the request. If you determine that you will not provide the records, we request a detailed written response, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you.
Okay, before we vote on this, just so I know how to administratively manage this. So is it the intent that what we'll do is if this motion passes, wait until we receive response both from our DCA and from Information Technology Department. They'll come then back before the task force and we'll just basically pick up our discussions on essentially focusing on the topic of should IT, the Information Technology Department, be considered a custodian? That would be the spring where I don't want to start over at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's
So it sounds like we're making an order of determination, but we're not closing the case.
right.
Yeah.
And then it's not going to committee. I think this is something
Right.
I think needs to come back here, and it can only come back here when we receive those pieces of information that we've asked for.
Yeah, yeah.
We may not see this again in November. It might be a little bit of time.
Well,
reasonable expectations.
You're making me think that we should also put a deadline about when we expect a response. Like 30 days.
Well, I think, the default is 5 days. Under the ordinance. So, for records to be turned over. But I think that's a good thing. And when, more importantly, when do you think, how long it would take you to do such a memo?
Probably 3 to 4 weeks would be like less than that. I could probably do it, but then 3 to 4 weeks just because I'd like to run it with my colleagues so they'd have a chance to review and make sure we're all on board.
So would it be safe to tentatively think this could return to us for our December 3rd meeting?
Yeah, I think that's enough time.
So could we make it call of the chair? And then when all the information is in?
Yes, but to the department, we need to give them a specific deadline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of would be inclined to give them more than 5 days
That's fine.
because
Maybe.
if our DCA is going to take 3 to 4 weeks, I would say let's give them 21 days.
Yeah, I could look and say,
So 3 weeks to give us their response, and then we put it on our next calendar. and
yeah,
call it.
if we tentatively search a go for December, I think that means our administrator would need.
Remember Thanksgiving.
That's Thanksgiving the week before. So maybe we even target like the Friday the 20th. Pat, would you be doing agendas the week before Thanksgiving or the week of Thanksgiving, those first few days?
Just a moment, please.
And I appreciate everyone entertaining this because what happens is sometimes these things kind of fall in the cracks and linger. So I want to make sure we have an action plan is all.
Yes, the packet would be in preparation the week of the 27th.
The week of what, I'm sorry?
Thanksgiving is the 27th.
The week of the 20, let's see. Going back from the 3rd, yes, the packets would be in preparation the week of the 24th.
So when we look at things to go on the December agenda, they need to get it to you by date. By the way, the legal opinion doesn't necessarily go in the packet, so you don't have to follow that date.
The 19th, November 19th
Okay,
for submission.
so how about by the submission deadline? Does that work November 19th for the motion deadline?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd rather it be complete than
Yeah.
quick because we're not going to hear it any faster. I mean,
okay, so we're just amending this to say, please provide a response by November 19th, 2025.
Member Anderson, still a second?
Yes, I am.
The day after completion, by the way.
Public comment?
Sure.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on this item, please approach.
Wait.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll take public comment. So we already actually heard public comment on this generally. So if you have public comment on what we added to the motion, not the motion already, because we just took public comment for first round. We modified a little bit based on what we received in public comment, so not every time we touch something, I think, does it need to go back. And we really didn't, this is not a new motion. I'll reopen public comment for 2 minutes only on what we added to it, not the motion as a whole.
Okay. Anyone wishing to make public comment on the addition? Please approach the podium. Mr. Bodkin?
The additions, may I go ahead?
Wait for me, please. 3 minutes, Chair. You have 2 minutes and your time begins now.
The additions were based in part on the testimony of the department. And the department said that they will respond to subpoenas. What's a subpoena? It's a lawful request for information. What's a public records request? A lawful request for information. Wouldn't putting the Department of Technology on the hot seat for responding to records requests actually be a benefit to the city? Instead of having officials spread out throughout the city who are in charge of redactions, why not ask the city and the Department of Technology to begin to handle these matters? Why not have the Department of Technology have someone, an expert on records, perhaps an expert on information security, that does a first cursory look for redactions or withholdings, and then if there's a question, they can consult with relevant officials in the department for assistance. Who better would be to create an efficient solution in providing requests than experts in the Department of Information Technology? Thanks.
Thank you. Are you ready for your 2 minutes? Oops, just a. Okay, your time begins now.
Thank you. Committee members, I understand this has been quite difficult and nobody wants to be on the spot. I would personally, especially with the addendums to the motion, I always look at time being worth more than money in the end, because you can make money, you can't get time back. So I would count the value of the time for not only everyone present, but regardless of it being a long time ago, that's like saying we need to scrap the Constitution. It would be nice to rewrite certain things in the Constitution, but we're not going to throw it out the window. I would recommend, based on the lengthy discussion you have had and where the motion's at now, that maybe you consider letting it go to committee and letting it get broad so that the weight and the burden of this is not reflecting on you, mostly due to the fact that it, especially with what Ms. Hong said, it doesn't make sense to go to the person who has the best interest in not being completely forthcoming and ask them. It's like saying to the person who perpetrated the action, for lack of a better word, and to be a little more neutral, hey, where is that? And they're going to say, well, they hold it behind their back. Oh, I don't know, because it's in their best interest.
30
So,
seconds.
with respect to the human nature and the human condition and what people have to lose in the broad scheme of this that you all aren't aware of, I think it would make more sense to let a committee look at it rather than carry that burden on yourselves going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. We have no one else approaching the podium. And no hands raised.
Okay, closing public comment. Are we ready for a
Oh, I'm
vote?
sorry, my hand is up.
Oh, Ms. Hong.
Ms. Hong cannot give public
Yeah,
comment.
sorry.
Ms. Hong, you can't give.
Parties to the matter don't get to do public comment. We give you plenty of time outside of public comment. So you can't give public comment, and Mr. Chan can't give public comment. We're equal opportunity across the board.
Okay, sorry, it wasn't public comment, but I can take it offline with Ms. Peterson. I just wanted clarity on responding to the IDR. Am I communicating directly with the requester, or are all communications going through the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force at this point?
It should, if the motion passes, it should be both.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hong. No one has their hand raised. No one is approaching the podium.
Okay. We ready for a vote on this? Okay.
So this is a single vote.
This is a single vote on the motion as it's been developed.
Okay. Taking the vote. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you all the parties who stuck with us. This was an interesting conversation.
Ms. Hong, returning you to panelist, attendee.
Okay, complaints are over, so we can move back to item number 2.
Item number 2, approval of the August 6, 2025 Sunshine Ordinance Task Force regular meeting minutes.
Okay, do we have any edits to these meeting minutes? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
Did Member Pilpel submit any edits?
Did he submit any edits?
We received nothing written from Member Pilpel. Thank you.
If we approve them now, then his period's over.
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Vice Chair Stein to approve the minutes. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Okay, seconded by Member Wolf. Let's go ahead and open that up to public comment.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 2, if you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a vote on that then.
Taking the vote on item 2, Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilbell, absent. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes. Let's move on to item number 3.
Item number 3, approval of the September 3, 2025 Sunshine Ordinance Task Force regular meeting minutes.
Okay, same thing on this one. Any edits or do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve it.
I'm sorry?
I move to approve.
Oh, thank you. Motion by Member Wolf to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Member Anderson. Let's see if there's any public comment on that.
Anyone wishing to make public comment, if you're with us physically, please approach the podium. If you're online, raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment and take a vote on that.
Taking the vote on item 3, Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Highland, absent. Member Pilpel, absent. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that motion passes. And we can move on to item number 4.
Item number 4, approval of orders of determination. File number 25032, Michael J. Turan against Assessor Recorder Joaquin Torres, Aiden Salim Kayali, and the Office of the Assessor Recorder. File number 25038, Paul Canija against San Francisco Municipal Transportation Agency. File number 25043, Anne Marie against Fine Arts Museums of San Francisco. File number 25048, Mark Sullivan against David Steinberg and San Francisco Public Works. File number 25059, Patrick Manette Shaw against Department of Public Health. File number 25060, Ben Lynch against City Attorney's Office. File 25061, Mark Bruno against San Francisco Planning Department. And lastly, file number 25065, Richard Correa against Supervisor Joel Ingardio.
Okay, do we have any edits to these? I just have a couple, so I'll jump in real fast. Let me know when you're ready, Administrator Peterson.
I'm ready.
Okay. First one is PDF page 6. It's for file number 25043, one for Anne Marie against Fine Arts Museum. First thing is a picky thing. The whole complaint at the top is in bold. We typically just put the file number in bold. But the second thing is I think we should retitle this as Order of Determination and Advisory Opinion, since we were actually hearing this case under 12L, and what our motion was our advisory opinion. So I think we should make that clear that that is our advisory opinion. And then second thing is just very, very minor. It's on page 16. The first motion says moved by Vice Chair Stein. The moved is in lowercase, just capitalize the F. Member LaHood?
I have a question. On page 7, we included an action on a motion that died for lack of a second. Why is that included on the order of determination?
Because we include everything, any official action we take on the orders of determination, whether or not they pass or not. So even if they fail, we'll include them. That's how we've been doing it.
I mean, because this one didn't even get to a vote. It
Right.
didn't even get a second.
I mean, it essentially is a one to everyone else.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Because it was back in the day, the ODs used to have a written commentary that was prepared by either the chair or the administrator. And so I've been working with, this was years ago when I became chair, I said, that offers a lot of subjectivity up on how, the administrator would write up the background of the case or how the chair would write it up. And so I said, let's just talk about any action items, anything officially that the members move. And so any action items is what makes it the ODs. And so this way we can see where members landed on anything that they felt was important enough to actually take an action on. So.
Got it.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So it's similar to, we always get reminded that, that if something failed, that we still maintain a record of it failing in written format, and that it's just not in the minutes.
Right.
That it's in, some sort of resolution form, and shows that it failed.
I agree with you. And I think that, when a motion dies for lack of a second, I think that's like a failing by a one to everyone else vote. I like to see it. I like it in there.
Okay.
Any other edits? All right, I'll make the motion on this one. I'll move to approve the orders of determination with the amendments that I spoke about.
I'll second that.
Taking public comment on item 4. If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one approaching the podium. We have one hand raised. Hello, caller. Do you wish to make public comment on item 4?
Not on item 4. This is Paul Kniha, and I wanted to see if any of my items will be heard today, because it seems like we're going a little bit out of order, and I'm a little bit lost.
Mr. Kniha, your items that were part of the consent agenda were already heard. So the public comment period for those have been closed.
Okay, so there will be no other hearing, any other discussions of any items that pertain to me?
No, we are on item number 4. We'll continue with item number 5 after this. Then we will go to item number 19. Everything else.
Okay.
6
4,
through
5, and 19.
18, items 6 through 18 have already been resolved.
Including 12 and 13?
Everything 6 through what I just said. Yes. All inclusive. So items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 have already been heard and decided upon by the task force.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Lowering your hand.
All right.
We have no other hands raised, no one approaching the podium.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to a vote then for item number 4.
Taking the vote on item 4, Chair Yankee.
Aye.
Chair Yankee, aye. Vice Chair Stein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Stein, aye. Member Schmidt, absent. Member LaHood.
Aye.
Member LaHood, aye. Member Sugarman.
Aye.
Member Sugarman, aye. Member Kumar, absent. Member Anderson.
Aye.
Member Anderson, aye. Member Highland, absent. Member Gilpel, absent. Member Wolf.
Aye.
Member Wolf, aye. 4 absent, 6 ayes.
Okay, that passes, and we can move to item number 5.
Item number 5, Administrator's Report. Task Force and Committee tentative hearing schedule with potential adjustments. Complaints and hearing requests, pending petitions and complaints, Sunshine Ordinance Task Force member attendance, and communications received.
Okay, I want to start with the tentative hearing schedule. I know there's just some of us here.
Members, the upcoming schedule for the remainder of the year is at item 1. With a limited attendance, do we want to address anything?
Yeah, let me just hang on 1 sec. My computer won't bring it up, so I'm going to try to bring it up on my phone. Let's see here. The most next thing would be complaint committee. I know Vice Chair Stein cannot attend the next complaint committee. Member Sugarman, will you be available for that?
Yes.
Okay. And assuming Member Schmidt can still attend, I know he's ill.
I believe Member Kumar will also be at the house.
He's not going to be because it's Diwali, so she can't attend after all.
Okay. I'll still be there.
So if it's just you two, but if neither of you can make it, let me know and I could probably fill in if something happens. Otherwise, I think we'll be good. So just Administrator Peterson can keep me posted if Member Schmidt is still ill at the time, because I know it's only 6 days away at this point. And CAC is okay for the 28th?
For October, yes.
Okay.
I think. Members?
For October, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
December 23rd.
That's the problem.
Yeah. All right, let's go to November. Okay, so November 5th, we'll meet that. That'll be fine. Complaint.
May I get clarification?
Yeah.
On CAC, was there going to be a request for input from the members? And do I need to know the deadline for the submissions and what to include?
Oh, you mean? Sure. Why don't we talk about that when we get to the
Okay.
item 19? Yeah.
I have a question. So it looks like the CAC is going to meet on December 23rd.
No, we haven't gotten there yet, but I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think we are.
Okay.
We're going chronologically.
Okay.
Okay, we good for October then? Okay, let's go November.
November 5th.
November 5th, okay.
I can come early on, but I'm gonna have to.
Could you please use your microphones?
I can attend early on, but I have to be gone by 7:30.
7:30, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay, that's good to know. We could. Okay, and just if anyone's interested, the date for that task force meeting, the Mission Streamlining Task Force is meeting that day as well. And the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force is one of the items that theoretically should be appearing on that agenda. So
What time is that meeting? Do you know?
I think they start at 1.
Okay.
Actually, they're in that room right now, which is why we couldn't get it.
It's also election day.
No, it's not.
No, because election day is Tuesday.
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
November 5th.
So if anyone that day wants to come early to testify, just throw that out there. Give public comment, I should say. That's November 5th. Okay. Anyone else? Is November 5th the problem? Good, okay. 18th for complaints, is that so far okay with both of you? Okay. We'll have to, Administrator Pearson, you'll have to talk to everyone at EOT about the 25th, since some of them are here.
Because of the time?
Well, because it's, I think, 2 days before Thanksgiving. I'm not sure that they'll want to meet or not, or if they'll be available.
Okay.
November 25th. And then December 3rd, I think anyone know that they'll be already know they'll be gone for December 3rd. Are we okay for that so far? Looks like it. Okay. Complaints for the 16th. Is that okay with both of you so far? Okay. And now there you go. Member LaHood for
December
23rd.
23rd is not going to work. Although I would like to ask we've got 3 or 4 committee members here, and we should ask Administrator Peterson, is the 30th a possibility since that's a 5th? Well, I guess I should ask first, are you going to be in town? Would you be in town the following week?
The following week?
Yeah, Tuesday the 30th.
Yeah.
Member Wolf, would you be in town Tuesday, December 30th?
December 3rd. It looks like it.
Administrator Peterson, what do you think of Tuesday, December 30th?
I do not have an opinion. I need to inquire about whether or not there's room availability.
Okay. I'm crossing my fingers because it would be a 5th Tuesday.
I will find out.
Thank you. And right, and it's the day before New Year's Eve. So, yeah.
And it's one of those weeks also where it's not then turns around and there's not a task force meeting on that Wednesday.
Right.
So we would give you another week.
Yeah.
Between that. So the next meeting would be January 7th then.
I will check the availability and let the members know.
Thank you.
And that would be a start time of what, please?
I would assume our regular start time of 4:30. But I think we're probably flexible.
Don't we start at 4?
4:30.
4:30? Okay.
Oh, and speaking to that, Administrator Peterson, you had EOT at 4 o'clock. That I remember our discussion. 4:30 is what they're going to try to go for on a go forward base, not 4:30.
Split the difference.
Okay, I think we're good with the hearing schedule through the end of the year. So let's move on to the second item in the administrator's report.
It will also be time to reserve rooms for 2026. Present that at the next administrator's report for review.
I know Member Pilpel is going to try to work on a memo like he did last time, and hopefully what we'll do this time is not wait until a problem date shows up like we had happen this time. Like he had flagged last year that October, whatever it was, 2 weeks ago was going to be a problem, but we never revisited that. And so that's why we ended up with this last minute special meeting. So hopefully what we can do is when he proposes that calendar, and I appreciate he's taking that work up for us. He's going to try to flag any potential holidays that might conflict with either the full task force or our committees. And hopefully we could try to take action then so that you could have a final calendar to work off of to reserve rooms and don't have to try to change it like we just had to do. So if we see things like, it's going to be 4th of July for the full task force, for instance, that we could make those changes now and give you the information you need to go forward. So I hope that will go in November, if not December.
Okay. All right. Item 2. Since the September 3rd meeting of the task force, we received the complaints listed in the table. Note that this is for 6 weeks rather than 4 because we are meeting mid-month. All of the items on this table are scheduled for hearing. Any questions about item 2? All right, item number 3, pending petitions and complaints before the task force or committees. The items on the OD were all heard today. The items for 2021 awaiting full SOTF hearing, the 3 from 2021 were the Carnazes matters, heard tonight and dispatched of. Are there any questions about the cases listed on this table?
I have a question.
Yes.
The Spencer versus the District Attorney one, remember LaHood?
It's, yeah, I've.
Or is it not important enough that we should just schedule because it's now like 14 months?
Let's
since
just,
the
you know what, let's get, are you talking about, are we talking about scheduling it for the full task force?
Yeah. Yeah. So what happened is it went to CAC. You guys wanted a DCA memo before it came to the full task force.
Yeah,
Now
and then
it's
it just got stalled and I've just been so busy. I've been gone 3 of the past 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now that it's been like 14 months, I'm thinking maybe it's not that important. I'd rather
Let's just do it.
let's just do it. And if maybe we can resolve it there.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the meeting, so I don't know if you guys recall at this point even what it was about. All right. So why don't I'm going to just schedule that for November.
Okay.
So file 23085, go ahead and schedule before the.
23085 November. Yeah. We'll just
Okay.
move forward.
Right, any other questions? All right, hearing none. Item 4 is the attendance for the regular meetings for the last 12 months. Are there any questions about the accuracy of this chart?
And just a reminder, this is a special meeting, so this one doesn't go on the chart.
That is correct. It will not.
Yep.
All right, hearing no questions. And the last item on the report is the list of communications received, the public communications. Shall I go through them all or no?
I don't know.
Okay.
I have a question about that.
Oh, go ahead, Member Wolf.
Yeah. Let's see, it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th item. It's the top of page 5 of 64. It's a letter that we wrote to the Board of Supervisors regarding file number 250192. I'm wondering if we got any response from that.
Which page was it on, Member Wolf?
It's on page 5 of 64. PDF page 5.
Page 5 is, oh. No. In fact, I think that's 12. No, they passed it.
Okay.
Ordinance been passed. They never engaged with us. So essentially.
But it was an inquiry, wasn't it?
No, it was, well.
We
were not.
I don't think we were asking for an amendment. I think we were asking an inquiry as to what
we were asking that the board look further into the issue of how many organizations would be affected by this before they move forward. They decided to just move forward and not our suggestion. So we were asking them to inquire, to gather more information before the board continued to move, but they just moved.
Got it.
That concludes my report.
Okay, public comment on that thing.
Anyone wishing to make public comment on item 5, if you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have no one in the queue.
Okay, no action. We can move on to item 19.
I'm sorry, item
19.
19. Item 19. Hearing on Sunshine Ordinance amendments. Discussion regarding amendments to the Sunshine Ordinance and potential action to guide the related work of the Compliance and Amendments Committee.
I'll turn it over to Member LaHood.
So I have not, we haven't met again. We haven't had a CAC meeting in between. I would say actually one thing that did come up after our agenda was put out, I got an email from, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Joe Dworetsky, who works at Bay City News and had actually written extensively about the Sunshine Ordinance. He sent me an email that I will forward to Administrator Peterson to include in the next packet. He had some specific recommendations. Obviously, it didn't make it into the packet here. I don't know if you would like me to read them or just we'll include them for discussion the next time and we could just talk about them at CAC.
Are they like high level or?
Oh, yeah. So sure. Let's talk about them. So issues that he's written about that he thinks we should be considering are departmental misinterpretation of the rolling production provision to be an extension of the deadlines for producing documents rather than a requirement that before the deadline, a department must produce what it can without waiting for the deadline. So, and I think we've actually talked about that, but I don't think we had documented that in our most recent sort of write-up of high-level things. So I thought that one was a good one to mention. His second one was departments unilaterally choosing without any citywide standards or external review not to allow public records requests that have been fulfilled to be included in the searchable public database. And that was something, you know, again, that he wrote about that I was surprised to learn because I always thought that those were, once a request had been fulfilled, that they were publicly available. And then the third one was, he said, departments purging from the searchable database prior records requests and related documents without meaningful citywide standards or review. So I don't know if people have thoughts on these or thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's discuss them in CAC.
Definitely the rolling records one.
Yeah, that has come up a lot.
Yeah.
I think some of the other, I'm sorry. I think the other one kind of gets into the question we talked about before about records retention.
Yes.
Versus that, how much do we think we should or should not get involved in records retention? Obviously, the whole separate part of the administrative code. I mean, presumably tomorrow, if the board wanted us to, even without amending the Sunshine Ordinance, they could just say, like they do with 12L, that's not part of the purview of the task force. Now, I'm not sure we want to ask for that or add pieces of that into the Sunshine Ordinance itself, but obviously it exists out there as its own separate piece that's not necessarily under our purview. I don't know if that's not a yes or a no, but just that it's out there, and I think we should have a discussion about to what level do we want to get involved in records retention.
I mean, I think
we'd
like to have a lot of say, but among all of the battles we have in front of us, do we put that one ahead of others?
Well, and that's why I brought up the fact that it's in a different part of the admin code. We don't necessarily have to amend the Sunshine Ordinance. Like if we're talking about amendments to the Sunshine Ordinance,
right?
If we want to put it in there, we could say that you know, we could write records retention into the Sunshine Ordinance. But if it doesn't make it in there, if it's something, let's say we want to not have that battle right now or that discussion or whatever, there's nothing that precludes just the board not going to the voters from adding us to, I think it's in, I forget what the admin code, 8 or something. They can just add us to that because it's not part of the Sunshine Ordinance. We can only amend the Sunshine Ordinance by a vote of the people. But they could certainly add that responsibility to us later.
Right.
So it's one of those, I think if we think it might be something that is contentious, maybe it isn't the time to have that discussion, even though it's a good discussion to have.
So yeah, I mean, I think, so the rolling production, it sounds like we're all on the same page with that. The other items, yes, we care about it, but maybe that's not under our immediate purview and not going to make the list for our high level recommendations for what we'd like to see change. Is that what I'm getting? And
liked
Member
all-
Wolf, I don't know if you're there trying to make comment.
I liked all three of them.
Mhm.
In particular, I also, I mean, I actually didn't think it was the case, but I have it after you said public records just being available after they've been requested. It would seem to make sense to have like a database of that somewhere, literally just the request and what the outcome was, like if there was a place that, I mean, it seems like it's a,
And if it's a recent thing, that wouldn't fall under the, oh, well, this drops out of records retention, because if it happened in the last year, it should be available.
Yeah, there were some stories that I think that reporter wrote about, and I think Vice Chair Stein might even be able to talk more because I think he spoke with them about next requests, and for a long time that the city would keep up all the next requests and make them public, and then at some point they purged a lot of the older ones, or I don't know.
Yeah, and that would come under record retention.
Right.
Right. I think there was some kind of directive where they purged things that were older than 2 years off of next request. But then there's also this issue, which we also saw the first year when we did that annual report and looked at next request, that it seems like there are departments that routinely just don't make their fulfilled requests public as
Right.
they
I
make
think
them
that's
private.
the issue.
And that's the other issue that he was very, interested in. And I think, obviously it's kind of to the city's benefit to make them public. You might actually cut down on the number of records requests you receive if people can go to next request and see that someone else has already done a search and see what the results of that search were. And if you don't make that visible, then you have to do the request again, right? And so I know there are other public records laws around the world that talk about basically asking governments to try to make as much information publicly available online that they can. And maybe it can kind of fit under something like that, right?
Yeah.
That, there should be a directive to keep things public wherever possible, right? And on something like next request, I mean, who knows if the city would always use next request, but if they do, it's easy to make public the default option. We definitely saw like whole departments where 50% or more of their requests, like they're just not there. You don't see them. You just see kind of a skip in a number and you can see kind of how many, requests were made overall through next request, but you can also see that only about half of those are searchable.
I don't know, how do you legislate a software setting though?
No, you would just have, that's what I'm saying. You would have to have something that would suggest that
A good practice rather than, yeah.
practice is that things should be made publicly available. Any record, any requests that are answered, if they're, answered on a public system.
And maybe that, I mean, what do you I mean, I know we've every so often looked at that one code. I don't recall what it is off the top of my head, but the index of records part, which is so ambiguous and so like, there is an index of records page, but it's not particularly helpful. Maybe that's something that we could use as a guiding principle to clean up that section. That if index of records could include or might or should include past records requests to the extent that it's.
Well, we could request, this is Member Anderson, that for those departments who don't want to keep it on their server, that they download it to our index of records so we could keep it under the sunshine. Because all of these documents, all of these electronic communications go through DTIS, right?
Our index of records is literally just a listing. It's very basic. Under each department, it's just a bunch of content categories of the records that they're supposed to be keeping. It's not really an index to any particular records, right? So it doesn't really use a lot of space like on a system, whereas actually us trying to keep the records in some kind of searchable form would use a lot of space. And in the past, when we've discussed that with the clerk's office, they basically say, we can't do that. Like we just don't have that allocated to you, to have some kind of repository or database or anything like that.
Or the archive.
But next request is that, and they can easily, if they're filtering the requests through there, we could suggest that they keep them public.
And you're saying it's actually easier to do it in the system than try to save them somewhere else outside of the system.
Yeah, because that's the system they're paying for to, handle their records, track their records requests, deliver them, receive them, etc. if we try to create that somewhere else, then that's a duplicate
Yeah.
kind of space where they have to put those things. But that being said, not every department uses Next Request.
Or not every requester wants to submit it through next.
And
request.
absolutely not every requester, but there are many departments too that apparently they'll get a request through some other, directly, and they'll themselves enter it into Next Request as a way to track it. But it's not,
That's right.
again, it's not uniform. And then the police and the sheriffs, whatever, they use GovQA because that was assigned to them at some point. So it's kind of a little bit messy.
No uniformity, in other words.
Right, not uniform. One thing I would say about index of records, we've had some discussions over the decades about it. And, kind of a central thought about it wasn't a place to actually necessarily find the records, but it was a place to find where it might exist in a category, like which file cabinet is it in, kind of thing. So that way it would help in the search for the general public or anyone, kind of like a Dewey Decimal System in a way, where to find the book on the shelf, but not necessarily trying to capture all the words in the book, so to speak. So I'm wondering if that might be a happy medium, because it really, I think it would really help the efficiency. And we're in this day and age. I mean, this is where AI could really help for something like that, as kind of the digital librarian in a way. People looking for certain records and where it might be located. So I don't know, just a thought, throwing it out there.
So Member LaHood, is the goal of CAC then to have a final version coming out of October for us to discuss?
I think that would be good. And actually, forgive me, I'm looking at this now, and I think there was something that we had in our last meeting that wasn't included here that I thought that was going to be included. So I will, I will make sure that we have I think I'm remembering what we had at a previous meeting that I'm not seeing here, that will be a list of the high level recommendations.
Yeah, because I
It's not
remember,
included.
because I have my list here, I was looking from last time. I know
Yeah,
I submitted the records. I know some other members did too. We kind of did a go around at our last full task force meeting about what are our high level things.
Yeah, and which was actually responsive to something I had already created, so I think it just didn't make it into this packet. So we will work on things at the next CAC meeting and then have them for you in November.
Yep. So I think the goal, if everyone's agreeable to this, is to have November, December, and January for me to carve out a portion of the agenda for this. Now, that might mean that certain other complaints are going to have to get bumped because I don't want to add a lot of complaints so that we're dealing with this. I think it's a very important thing and a once in a, at this point, generation chance, perhaps.
Yeah.
Since it's been since 99, so I don't want to rush this at 9:30 to get through this. So I'm going to try to limit complaints on those agendas to maybe just like 3 or 4 rather than the customary 4 or 5. So we have adequate time to get to this. Is everyone okay with that? Even understanding that that might make complaints take a little bit longer to get resolved. Okay. So I'm hoping if what we get from you, that gives us November, December, January, and then I think out of January, if we're going to try to get some support else, to the board or whatever, that's probably the time period we need to do to make sure it works through their process as well.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead, Member Wolf.
Just a bit of commentary on this. We're going through a possible recommendation that the task force be altered in some kind of way, coming through the streamlining task force. And, in order for any changes to happen, it would have to go back to the voters. So if we're looking to put, these amendments on the ballot, that would be reaffirming the current ordinance. at the same time. But if the this board of supervisors decides to follow the streamlined task force's recommendations, we'll have competing. I don't know what will happen.
That's a good point. Yeah, the streamlining task force may recommend, we should know more about this literally after our next, meeting, what their recommendations are. And if the board wants to adopt, I should say, if the streamlining task force wants to make changes to our task force, because it's an ordinance one, they can't just do it themselves. It has to go back on the ballot, which means it has to go to the board of supervisors. They have to decide, do they want to accept, and do they then want to put it on a ballot? So you're absolutely right, Member Wolf, that this could be a competing priority, and I'm not sure the board members would want to put something that we have that talks about our composition and our duties, if they're also putting something from streamlining task force that may be inclusive of us and changing us to some degree. Maybe we'll know more next, well, not even next month, the next 3 weeks or so, whenever it is they meet again. See what direction they're thinking about going. Granted, I think there's other ways to get things on the ballot as well. We'll have our mayoral representative at the November 1st meeting. They've appointed a new person. He'll be here, so maybe that's another avenue. There's certain different ways to get things on the ballot. Or maybe the streamlining task force won't recommend changes to us.
And just to point everyone, if you go back to our September full task force meeting, that was the running list that we had discussed. So that's what we will be building off of, and additional comments on.
So that's, remember, for all those of us who read things into the record at the
Yes.
September meeting, do you want us to also email them, or are you going to grab it off the audio, or did you take notes as we were talking?
I took notes,
Okay.
and I will go back to the audio as well. I would say this, though, if you have written things, that's always much easier for me.
I can give you a bullet point of mine.
Yes, that would be excellent. If you could email those to me, that makes things a lot easier. Is it fair to say, could we have Administrator Peterson send something out to the full task force and say, if you want things to be considered by CAC?
Yes.
And so I'm saying this publicly, that we'll have Administrator Peterson write to the full task force and say, if you want CAC to consider additional items to be added to our, proposed amendments and updates, high level stuff, not,
Yeah, I think the time has passed for
the
changing
editing
semicolons and all
words.
that.
Yeah, we're not changing semicolons anymore. But please to email those to Administrator Peterson. I'm going to say by next Wednesday. Would that be good?
Yes.
Yes, by next Wednesday, if you want them to be included in our packet that we will be looking at for the next CAC meeting on Tuesday, October 28th.
Okay, anything else?
October 22nd.
Yes, their deadline is Wednesday, October 22nd. And I would say that to members of the public as well. I know there are people who have been following this, and I think maybe it's been a little bit difficult to know when to weigh in and when to send us things. So maybe giving these sort of publicly announced deadlines and heads up. This is what's coming. We'll discuss it at CAC, and then we'll bring that back to full task force for the November meeting.
Yeah. And just something else to think about when we start to hear this at the full task force in November. I think, number one, we're just not going to have as much availability for comment. I know you guys been like stopping every 30 minutes and doing public comment.
Right.
We're just not going to have the time to do that at the full task force. So it'll have to go a little bit faster. And then I think we also want to, I don't know, we need to set a rule necessarily, like a hard and fast rule. But I think there's going to be some issues that come out of this process that just we're not going to all agree on.
Yeah.
And I think we at least want to set a guiding threshold for what we think is a good number of support. Because I don't think we want to send stuff forward if it's like 5 to 6 type of, or 6 to 5, scenario, right? Not that it has to be only 1 or 2 dissenters necessarily, but I think as we talk about that, it's important for us to keep in mind. We want to get something that we can, as a collective, compilation of what everyone's, been working on, that we can all kind of get behind and not have things that make any of us have reservations about really supporting it. So,
Agreed. We'll consensus as much as possible and
yeah, it's not going to be 100%,
No.
but I think we're all going to have to live with the fact that it's not going to be perfect in our mind, but something at least that we think we can get behind. Are we good on this? Any?
yeah, I guess member Anderson, member Wolf, since you've been part of this process, any other special requests as we're asking people to send us their high level ideas?
No, I believe you covered.
Yeah, I
Thing.
think so.
Yeah.
I'd rather not make it more complex than it already is.
Yeah.
Okay, any public comment?
Taking public comment on item 19. If you're in the room, please approach the podium. If you're online, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. We have one individual at the podium.
Okay, we'll do 3 minutes.
Given am I good to go?
Good to go.
Given I brought up CAC earlier, might as well thought I would bring the point home to recommend to CAC to look into what I think the DCA actually raised earlier about there being a legal definition for custodian. There are multiple laws out there that spell out more details as to what like a custodian is as it pertains to a particular set of records, like California Code, Penal Code 11102.2 goes into details about what are the requirements for a legal custodian of criminal records. And it specifies all sorts of things about, background checks and that kind of thing. And so if the voters, if whoever's, updating the law here, updating the Sunshine Ordinance, believe that, we should constrict the definition of a custodian, there's laws out there that do that, and we could do that here. So if you want to, limit the definition of a custodian, the CAC would be a great place to put that forward. However, I don't think that's something we really want to do. If the Department of Technology isn't a custodian, which I don't think is the case, then perhaps there should be some level of encryption to prevent employees there from being able to access that information. However, given that it's clear that if they received a lawful subpoena and that they would have to respond to that, they are a custodian of that record for legal purposes. We might, the city attorney's office might think that public records requests are different in some way than public records requests, or I might have flipped that, but if subpoenas are somehow different from public records requests, let's spell that out. Let's explain why a lawful request via subpoena is different from a lawful request via a public records request. I think of a public records request as the citizen's subpoena. Yeah, I know it's late, so.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, anyone else?
We have no one else in the queue.
Okay, public comments closed, and we can move on to item 18. Oh, I'm sorry.
20?
I was looking at the wrong agenda. We can move on to item 20. That was September's agenda with my notes I was looking at.
Item 20, announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items by members of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
Okay, the only thing I had was just a reminder about, again, I'm just going to say it one more time, the Streamlining Task Force is going to consider us at their meeting that starts at 1 o'clock, the same day that we meet next month, November 5th. If you want to give public comment on that, I'm not sure if they'll get to our item before we start meeting. We'll have to see. But if you don't want to, have to show up for public comment, you could certainly write to them. I wrote an email in a personal capacity with member Pilpil. So anyone, feel free to team up. Just keep in mind that if you're going to do combined correspondence, be careful about doing it with another member of your committee, in a committee with, because that could be a serial meeting. So for instance, I'm not sure if the two of you would want to necessarily team up, but if you want to team up with someone who's not on like CAC, then that would be okay. Or you can write your own, I mean, however you want to do it. Or if you think that there's people in the community that may want to weigh in on us, hopefully in support of us, encourage them to do so.
Was there some reason that the task force decided not to do a full, en banc letter of support for ourselves?
I don't know if there's a reason. I mean, I threw the topic out and have never heard anyone who wanted to take that project on. I'll note that I think I've only seen one board or commission actually issue, and I've looked through all the public correspondence. Only one, I think one board or commission actually wrote something on their own behalf. It's mainly been members of those boards and commissions in their independent capacities writing letters.
Got it. Okay.
So I don't know if that was kind of considered an inappropriate thing to do necessarily. Why that hasn't, obviously there's over 100 commissions, and the only one I saw was Historic Preservation Commission is the only letter I could find that wrote one on their own behalf. But most boards and commissions did have their members write as individuals. So
yeah. I have something to add.
So that was all I had. So go ahead, Member Wolf.
I on the Chan versus Department of Technology item, I just want to just reflecting back, I just want to apologize to Member Sugarman and the rest of the body here if anything I said sounded like an admonishment. It wasn't intended to be that way. It's just the way things come out in my head sometimes. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Wolf. And I think we're all approaching all of our cases in a good faith way. I think we all want to see open government and public access. And when we get to some of these cases that are going to be nuanced, I think some of us approach it differently. It doesn't mean that I don't think any of us don't want to see open government and public access, but that our nuanced interpretations in some of these matters differ a little bit. And that's okay. That's why there's this many of us on this task force.
And I appreciate that, but I wasn't offended.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any public comment on what we just spoke about? Online by chance?
If you're online and wish to make public comment, please raise your hand in the app or press *3. And we have no one in the queue.
Okay, public comments closed. We can move on to the final item.
Item 21, adjournment.
So move.
The meeting.
Second.
The meeting
See no
is
opposition. We are adjourned at 9:28.
Adjourned at 9:28. Microphones are off.
Good to see you all.
Is that?
Have a
Good night.
week. Night.